Chapter 99. Techniques cannot be passed down easily. Normally, those who join my sect start as an in-name disciple and then go through many tests before they can become an in-room disciple. In the cave, Hong Changbao sat on the throne and looked at Fong Qingshan as he spoke slowly. However, you're not bad. Fate has brought us together, so I'll make an exception and accept you as an in-room disciple. Thank you, Master. Fong Qingshan quickly expressed his gratitude. Hong Changbao nodded and waved his sleeves. 3 rays of light, 2 red and 1 black, flew out and shot towards Fong Qingshan. The speed was as fast as lightning and faster than a ray of light. Fong Qingshan's pupils constricted when he saw that. He almost instinctively wanted to dodge. Fortunately, he knew that Hong Changbao did not have to attack him. Moreover, with Hong Changbao's cultivation, he would not be able to resist if Hong Changbao really attacked him. Therefore, he suppressed his instinctive reaction and stood still. Seeing this, Hong Changbao could not help but nod in satisfaction. The reason why he suddenly did this was to test Fong Qingshan's reaction, and also to test Fong Qingshan's attitude towards him. If one was suddenly attacked and did not react at all, then that person would definitely not be able to go far in the cultivation world. As such, Hong Changbao arranged an easy but hopeless job for Fong Qingshan on account of the Gourd of 7 Malice. If he sensed the attack and dodged instinctively, then it was obvious that he did not trust his master and was not as respectful as he appeared to be. In that case, he was not worthy of Hong Changbao's nurturing. However, Fong Qingshan's performance was clearly very satisfactory. When the 3 beams of light arrived in front of Fong Qingshan, they stopped abruptly and froze in the void. Shockingly, they were 2 golden pages that were nearly half a foot long and a foot-long scarlet knife. Those 2 pages are the rules and fundamental technique of my Redwood Ridge, the Great Blood River technique. As for that small blade, I imitated your martial ancestors' heavenly demonic blood divine blade. Although its power cannot be mentioned in the same breath, it is enough for a beginner like you. Hong Changbao pointed at the 3 items and explained. Pausing for a moment, he continued, Fine, on account of your filial piety, I'll fulfill another request of yours. Tell me, what do you want? Spells, magic treasures, or something else? As long as it's not too much, I can satisfy you. Thank you, Master. Fong Qingshan's eyes lit up. Previously, he thought that as long as he found the drunken dragon grass, he would be able to obtain the essence blood of the Dracophant and break through the mystic arts. However, things were not that simple. With Long Xiang's cultivation, even if he hadn't become an immortal, his strength was definitely not weaker than an ordinary earth immortal. Even if such an existence didn't move and just stood in front of him, he wouldn't be able to break through his defense. Of course, he could use the All-Heavens chessboard, but with his own strength, the All-Heavens chessboard would use its full power. A world would either be left with nothing, or it wouldn't be able to do anything to Dragon Elephant. Therefore, he urgently needed a weapon that could break through the defense of the Dragon Elephant and let him obtain the essence blood. And in the Redwood Ridge, there was a world-famous weapon, the demonic blood saber of the red-haired old ancestor. Of course, he wouldn't dream of obtaining this weapon. Even borrowing it was out of the question. But thinking about it, a strand of the demonic blood saber's sharpness should be enough. Disciples' cultivation is low, so I want a powerful weapon that can protect my life as a deterrent. Fong Qingshan naturally couldn't say it clearly, so he could only remind Hong Changbao in a roundabout way. Hearing Fong Qingshan's words, Hong Changbao narrowed his eyes and thought for a moment. If that's the case, then you can have it. With that, Hong Changbao shook his sleeve, and a talisman fell in front of Fong Qingshan. Although it was just a thin piece of paper, the ferocious aura on it made Fong Qingshan involuntarily take 3 steps back. This talisman has a strand of saber energy from the demonic blood saber sealed in it. I believe it meets your requirements, Hong Changbao explained calmly. Thank you, Master. Fong Qingshan got what he wanted and was instantly overjoyed. All right, if there's nothing else, you can leave. Hong Changbao waved his hand, signaling for Fong Qingshan to leave. He also couldn't wait to refine the Gourd of 7 Demons. Although he had only caught a glimpse of it, Hong Changbao knew that he had picked up a great treasure this time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have directly taken Fang Qingshan as a disciple and even fulfilled one of his requirements after passing on the technique. He knew that as long as he successfully refined the gourd of 7 demons, even if it couldn't compare to his master's demonic blood saber, it was definitely not something that other magic treasures could compare to. At that time, in the Redwood Ridge, apart from his master, he would be the leader. Congratulations, immortal master. Congratulations, immortal master. Walking out of Hong Changbao's manor cave, Fang Qingshan and Bao Dajiang couldn't help but feel relieved. Bao Dajiang even congratulated Fang Qingshan enviously, his expression a bit reserved. From now on, the two of them were separated from immortals and mortals. This is all thanks to Brother Dajiang's recommendation, Fang Qingshan said with a smile. Not at all, not at all. This is all the good fortune of the immortal master of Green Mountain. Bao Dajiang hurriedly waved his hand. Since the immortal master of Green Mountain has already joined the Redwood Ridge, I won't disturb you any longer. I'll take my leave now. From the moment Fang Qingshan joined the Redwood Ridge, the two of them were no longer on the same path. Bao Dajiang tactfully offered to take his leave. Wait a minute. Fang Qingshan pulled Bao Dajiang back and said, Brother Dajiang, Qingshan still has a favor to ask of you. Are you willing to help me? Oh, immortal master, feel free to tell me what you need. As long as I can do it, I won't refuse. Bao Dajiang didn't hesitate, patting his chest as he promised. Ah, good. Hearing this, Fang Qingshan laughed. Don't worry, Brother Dajiang. What I want you to do is what you're best at. After a pause, Fang Qingshan continued. I know Brother Dajiang is good at finding and identifying herbs, so I want you to help me find a magic herb. Oh, so that's how it is. Immortal Master, feel free to tell me. Bao Dajiang was a bit nervous at first, not knowing what Fang Qingshan's request was, but when he heard that it was just finding and identifying herbs, he immediately felt confident. Fang Qingshan nodded. The herb I want you to find is called drunken dragon grass. It's 1 foot tall, and its leaves are thick and twisted like a dragon. It only grows where the dragon chi and the sinister evil chi in the earth veins are balanced. This herb is very attractive to snakes and demons. Of course, I won't let you work for nothing. After explaining the mission, Fang Qingshan smiled. If you help me find the drunken dragon grass, I'll teach you the qin gong that I used earlier. If you want a horse to run, how can you not give it grass? Previously, Fang Qingshan was envious of Bao Dajiang's wave-like, subtle steps. Now, he used this as a reward to stimulate his desire. Immortal Master, don't worry. As long as this herb really exists in the southern border, I promise to find it within 3 months. As expected, after hearing Fang Qingshan's reward, Bao Dajiang immediately patted his chest and made a military pledge. Chapter 100. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed since he arrived at Mount Shu. In the past 2 months, apart from strolling around Rotten Peach Mountain to familiarize himself with the terrain, Fang Qingshan had been staying in the cave abode, cultivating the dragon-elephant prajna art, while waiting for Bao Dajiang's news. 2 months was not a long time, especially for cultivators. A closed-door training might last more than a month, but it was not a short time either. The main thing was that 1/3 of the time that Fang Qingshan could stay in Mount Shu had passed. If he could not find the drunken dragon grass this time, then his trip to Shushan this time would really be a double loss. Not only did he not get any benefits, but he even lost the gourd of 7 evils in his hands. However, he also knew that it was useless to be anxious. Even if he went out to look for it, he would just try his luck. It was better to stay in the mountain and wait for news from Bao Dajiang. Bao Dajiang was a local tyrant after all, and he was good at finding and identifying herbs. The wait was long and unbearable. Fortunately, Bao Dajiang said that he would give him a reply in 3 months. 3 months had not passed. One day, when Fang Qingshan just returned from Rotten Peach Mountain, he heard from the boy that someone was looking for him. Fang Qingshan was shocked. Brother Dajiang, returning to the cave residence, he saw Bao Dajiang in a hurry. He was travel-worn, and his eyes were tired, as if he had not had a good rest for several months. Immortal Master, Dajiang did not disappoint you. I finally found a place that seems to have drunken dragon grass. However, it is a little dangerous and I can't explore it. So I need a mortal master to explore it in person. When Bao Dajiang saw Fang Qingshan's first words, he felt like a huge weight had been lifted off his shoulders. In that case, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Hearing this, Fang Qingshan could not wait to pull Bao Dajiang away. There were only 3 months left. If he did not hurry and missed it, it would be too late to regret even if he found the drunken dragon grass. With Bao Dajiang leading the way, Fang Qingshan and Bao Dajiang spent 2 days and came to a place called Poison Dragon Cave. Poison Dragon Lair. As the name suggested, it was the territory of the poison dragon. How could he allow others to sleep soundly beside his bed, especially when the poison dragon was ambitious? He wanted to establish a force and be the ancestor. How could the red-haired old man accept it? Therefore, the poison dragon was unfortunately annihilated by the red-haired old ancestor single-handedly. After the poison dragon died, the monkeys naturally scattered when the tree fell. The forces under him were either destroyed by the red-haired old ancestor or fled thousands of miles away. As time went by, the remaining poison dragon cave was occupied by thousands of snakes. Before entering the poison dragon cave, Fang Qingshan could already smell a foul stench from afar. This is the place? Fang Qingshan was not surprised. Instead, he was happy. Since the poison dragon cave was valued by the poison dragon back then, it was naturally not a remote place. Although Fang Qingshan was not good at finding the right place, he could still roughly distinguish the geology. This was a place where the dragon energy of the earth veins converged. It was unknown if it was originally like this, or because it was the residence of the poison dragon back then. As for the sinister, evil qi lingering around, it was needless to say. With the strength of the qi and blood in Fang Qingshan's body, he felt uncomfortable from far away. In addition to the gathering of tens of thousands of snakes, there was a high possibility of the drunken dragon grass appearing. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan could not wait any longer. He immediately wanted to attack the poison dragon cave. Immortal Master, wait a minute. When Bao Dajiang saw that the situation had changed, he quickly pulled Fang Qingshan back and said nervously, Immortal Master, although there are no powerful demons in this poison dragon cave, we still have to be careful. Otherwise, haha, I know. Don't worry, I won't be careless. Fang Qingshan knew that Bao Dajiang meant well and did not blame him. With a thought, an invisible pressure enveloped Fang Qingshan and Bao Dajiang. He had triggered the heaven chessboard and released a trace of the aura of the treasure. Let's go. Fang Qingshan laughed and pulled Bao Dajiang, who was at a loss, and walked in. It's over. Bao Dajiang closed his eyes and looked like he had lost all hope. But after a while, he still did not feel the aura of death. Bao Dajiang could not help but feel puzzled. He opened his eyes and saw that along the way, even if he used the most powerful snake repellent medicine, the snakes would not attack him. But now, as if they had met their natural enemy, they all fled far away. Even if they could not dodge in time, they would stiffen on the spot and not move. Seeing this scene, Bao Dajiang could not help but be stunned. All right, come back to your senses. Fang Qingshan waved his hand in front of his eyes and said with a smile, Aren't you going to lead the way? Oh, okay. Bao Dajiang heard this and quickly nodded. Although he did not know what method Fang Qingshan used, Bao Dajiang knew what to ask and what not to ask. Since there was no danger, he did not say anything and just led the way. Seeing this, Fang Qingshan nodded. He was a smart person. Only a smart person could live for a long time and build a relationship with a cultivator with the body of a mortal. Because of the aura of the heaven chessboard, Fang Qingshan and Bao Dajiang had no obstacles along the way. They arrived at the deepest part of the poison dragon lair without any difficulty. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As soon as Fang Qingshan and Bao Dajiang stepped into the deepest part of the poison dragon lair, demon snakes as thick as a small tree and dozens of feet long shot out from all directions. They coiled their bodies and flicked their tongues, staring at Fang Qingshan with vigilance, warning him to retreat. In particular, there was a serpent that looked like the king of snakes. It was as thick as a person's arm and over 10 meters long. Scales could be seen on its body, and Fang Qingshan could even feel a pressure that was similar to Fang Qingshua's. At this time, a breeze blew by, and a very pleasant fragrance wafted over, making one feel relaxed and happy. Through the group of snakes, Fang Qingshan's eyes suddenly lit up. He saw a small tree that was about a foot tall, with branches that were twisted like a dragon. On top of it, there was an exquisite jade-green fruit. The fragrance came from its body. Drunken dragon grass. Fang Qingshan recognized it at first glance. 1 inch every 10 years, 100 years. After another 100 years, a red flower would bloom. After another 100 years, it would bear a red fruit. This fruit was called dragon transformation. It was obvious that the drunken dragon grass had not fully matured yet, which was why the Snake King was guarding this place. Once the drunken dragon grass matured and consumed the dragon transformation fruit, another powerful poisonous dragon would appear in a few hundred years. Unfortunately, time and fate were different. With Fang Qingshan's appearance, it was obvious that he would not be able to achieve his goal. Although it is not fully matured, it should be enough. Although it was a pity that the drunken dragon grass was not fully matured, Fang Qingshan did not have the time to wait. Even if it was a bit of a waste, he would accept it. After all, he would not give up this opportunity just to wait for it to fully mature. Chapter 101. However, a bird in the hand was better than 100 in the bush. Only by thoroughly obtaining it and turning it into his own strength would he be able to make the best use of it. Otherwise, when the drunken dragon grass matured, even if it was 1,000 or 10,000 times more precious, it would still be useless if it could not bring any benefit to Fang Qingshan. Humph! Fang Qingshan looked around at the surrounding snake demons. They seemed to be afraid of the all-heaven chessboard's aura, but they were reluctant to part with the drunken dragon grass. They kept circling in front of Fang Qingshan, hissing and hissing as if they wanted to force Fang Qingshan to retreat. Scram! Fang Qingshan snorted and instantly increased the aura of the all-heaven chessboard. Bang! 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 The snake demons in front of him, including the Snake King, instantly stiffened and fell to the ground, unable to move. Although Bao Dajiang had overestimated Fang Qingshan's methods, he still couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this. However, he was someone who knew what was good for him, so he looked down and didn't say anything. Having solved the problem in front of him, Fang Qingshan no longer hesitated. He flew forward and took out the replica of the heavenly demonic blood saber. With a swish, he cut off the drunken dragon grass. Let's go! He then quickly left the poison dragon lair with Bao Dajiang. Damn it! After leaving the poison dragon lair, Fang Qingshan suddenly realized something embarrassing. He did not have a storage magic treasure. Although the all-heaven chessboard was first-rate in both offense and support, it could not be used as a storage magic treasure. If he could not isolate the aura of the drunken dragon grass, it would be a very troublesome matter. Who knows, it might cause more problems. Looks like I have to finish this quickly. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan did not retract the aura of the all-heaven chessboard. Instead, he controlled it around his body, using the aura of the all-heaven chessboard to cover up the aura of the drunken dragon grass. The all-heaven chessboard's aura happened to envelop Fang Qingshan's surroundings. As long as someone did not have a much higher cultivation base than him and happened to bump into him, they would not be able to notice the all-heaven chessboard. All right, thank you, Brother Dajiang. This is the wave-like subtle steps. Take it and go back to the stronghold. Whether it was because he had to conceal the drunken dragon grass with the all-heaven chessboard at all times, or because he was running out of time, Fang Qingshan was anxious to reach the rotten peach mountain in front of him to complete his main purpose of coming to Shu Mountain this time. Therefore, he took out the script of wave-like subtle steps that he had already written and handed it to Bao Dajiang. Thank you, Immortal Master. Bao Dajiang's face was filled with joy as he took the rippling subtle steps and said solemnly, Don't worry, Immortal Master. I don't know anything about what happened today. Yes, go. In this regard, Fang Qingshan smiled and nodded, not taking it to heart. Firstly, he did not expose the all-heaven chessboard. Secondly, Bao Dajiang did not know how precious the drunken dragon grass was. Most importantly, he did not stay in Shu Mountain for long. Therefore, he did not care whether Bao Dajiang kept his mouth shut or not. After sending Bao Dajiang away, Fang Qingshan rushed to the Rotten Peach Mountain without stopping. He did not speak along the way. Fang Qingshan maintained his vigilance and arrived at the Rotten Peach Mountain without any mishap. In the distance, he saw a stretch of mountain peaks covered with peach trees, steep mountains, deep streams, and lush vegetation. It was noon in the hot summer, and the sun was scorching hot. Once the peach mud in the evil marsh evaporated, it turned into balls of colorful clouds and mist, shrouding the jadeite peaks. It was like a brilliant shoe brocade entwined with a plate of green bamboo. It was very magnificent. However, Fang Qingshan did not seem to have come at the right time. At this moment, the Rotten Peach Mountain was like a volcanic eruption, emitting colorful clouds and mist. Under the reflection of the sun, it looked like a gorgeous glow. Although the glow was beautiful, it was fatal. This was the five-cloud peach flower miasma. The five-cloud peach flower miasma that the red-haired patriarch refined was infamous. In the future, when he fought with the Amei Immortals, those arrogant juniors suffered greatly. In the end, they had to travel to the North Pole to ask Patriarch Xiankong for the elixir. Apart from other things, the five-cloud peach flower miasma was also the reason why the red-haired patriarch allowed Long Xiang to sleep soundly beside his bed. Without a defensive treasure, even an ordinary celestial immortal would not be able to bear the consequences of fighting with Long Xiang here, let alone the red-haired patriarch. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan's chessboard of the heavens was unparalleled in defense. Compared to the nine heavens primordial Yang ruler of Shushan, it was probably even better. Furthermore, he did not need Fang Qingshan to activate it. All he had to do was expend a portion of his fate to maximize its defensive capabilities. 2 months ago, Fang Qingshan would wander around the Rotten Peach Mountain when he had nothing to do, so he knew the terrain like the back of his hand. At this moment, he was very familiar with the terrain. He chose a place and threw the drunken dragon grass far away with all his might. Then, he wrapped himself in the all-heaven chessboard and hid in the dark. Bam! 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 As Fang Qingshan withdrew the aura of the all-heaven chessboard, the aura of the drunken dragon grass immediately lingered around. For a moment, the Rotten Peach Mountain seemed to be racing and hundreds of barges were vying for the current. Hundreds of demons, especially the snakes and pythons with the bloodline of the dragon race, swarmed out and desperately squeezed towards the place where the drunken dragon grass had fallen. Anything that stood in their way and stopped them from fighting for the drunken dragon grass had only one action, and that was to get rid of everything that stood in their way. Roar! Hiss! Just as these snake-type demons were fighting for the drunken dragon grass, a dragon roar rang out. Then, a huge creature that was 100 zhang long, as thick as a water bucket, with 2 horns on its head and 4 claws on its abdomen rose into the sky, enveloped in the five-cloud peach blossom miasma. An extremely powerful aura and a supreme pressure swept out in all directions, causing the monsters that were originally fighting to lose their excitement instantly. They all collapsed to the ground, trembling, unable to move at all. Smack! The dragon elephant looked around, curled its nose, and swallowed the drunken dragon grass. Then it slowly sank to the bottom of the Rotten Peach Mountain. He did not stay for long. Firstly, he could not wait to refine the drunken dragon grass. Secondly, he was afraid of meeting the red-haired patriarch. At the same time, in the Redwood Ridge, the red-haired patriarch, who was in seclusion, could not help but frown. He looked in the direction of the Rotten Peach Mountain and muttered to himself, "What's wrong with this dragon elephant today? Why did it come out?" However, the red-haired patriarch soon realized that the dragon elephant had only appeared for a brief moment before falling silent again. He did not pay much attention to it. The Rotten Peach Mountain instantly regained its peace after the drunken dragon grass was snatched away by the dragon elephant. For safety's sake, Fang Qingshan did not immediately come out, nor did he immediately enter the quagmire. He waited in the corner for 7 days. He estimated that the drunken dragon grass's medicinal effect had basically taken effect, so he came out from the darkness. Success or failure depends on this. Looking at the dazzling rotten peach mountain, Fong Qingshan took a deep breath. He controlled the all-heaven chessboard to wrap around him and leaped into the quagmire like a meteor. Chapter 102. After sinking for less than 100 feet, Fong Qingshan took a quick glance and saw countless rotting snake and insect corpses. It was a nauseating sight. During this period, colorful air currents would emerge from time to time, but Fong Qingshan did not have the slightest intention of appreciating it. He was focused on finding the dragon elephant and obtaining its blood essence to break through to the mystic secret realm. If not for the light shield released by the all-heaven chessboard, he would have turned into a pool of pus long ago. The colorful air was formed by the fire chi of the earth veins, the poison chi of the earth lungs, and the miasma of the rotten peach mountain. It was the best at polluting one's dharma treasures and body. Without sufficient power or a treasure that could restrain it, one would definitely die a horrible death. It was naturally a rare treasure that could be controlled. For example, the red-haired old ancestor could use it to refine a dharma treasure. However, if one could not control it, it would be fatal. With a spurt of energy, Fong Qingshan followed the aura of the dragon elephant and rushed down for more than 2,000 feet. At this point, the rotting swamp was already as black as ink. It gurgled and emitted countless air bubbles, as if it was boiling. There was also black smoke that seemed to have not been completely burned. Fong Qingshan knew that this should be near the core of the rotten peach mountain, and the dragon elephant should be nearby. He looked around, and sure enough, he saw the huge body of the dragon elephant floating in the swamp. Its nostrils inhaled and exhaled like thunder. Clearly, the dragon elephant had devoured the drunken dragon grass and had fallen into a deep sleep. The purer the bloodline of the dragon race, the longer it would be unconscious. It was a pity that the drunken dragon grass was not fully mature and was only a half-finished product. Therefore, Fong Qingshan could not guarantee the efficacy of the dragonification fruit. He did not know how long the dragon elephant would be unconscious and when it would wake up. I have to hurry. Fong Qingshan came to the dragon elephant's side and took out the talisman that he had gotten from Hong Changbao when he was apprenticed to the dragon elephant. It contained a wisp of saber chi from the sky demon blood saber and slashed at the abdomen of the dragon elephant. Poof! The dragon elephant was indeed the dragon elephant. As a member of the dragon clan, its defensive power was already astonishing. Furthermore, after hiding in the rotten peach mountain and being tempered by the five-cloud peach blossom miasma, it was comparable to a dharma treasure. Fortunately, the devil blood saber was worthy of being the magic weapon of the red-haired patriarch. It could be ranked among the top swords and sabers of the entire Mount Shu. Even the green-robed patriarch, a giant of the devil cult, would be cut by it if he was not careful. Although this was only a strand of saber chi from the heavenly demonic blood saber, Long Xiang had also fallen into a deep slumber after consuming the drunken dragon grass. It was completely unconscious, and its defenses were greatly reduced. Instead, it allowed Fong Qingshan to break through the armor and tear a gap. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan didn't even have time to let out a sigh of relief. He immediately used the Dark North Divine Art to release a devouring force and pressed it on Long Xiang's wound. He forcefully pulled it out and sucked out a ball of golden blood that weighed 1,000 kilograms. Good. Seeing that the Long Xiang's wound had healed in a moment, Fong Qingshan couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, he acted quickly. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would have been in vain. Now that he had obtained the Long Xiang's blood essence, Fong Qingshan no longer stayed here. Although there was no danger, it still consumed his luck, stuffing the Long Xiang's blood essence into his mouth in one breath. Fong Qingshan rushed out of the mud and then chose a hidden cave that he had chosen long ago. There was no time to think too much. Fong Qingshan sat cross-legged with his palms facing the sky. While visualizing the Long Xiang, he operated the Long Xiang Prajna art to refine the Long Xiang's blood essence. Buzz! Fong Qingshan's Naiwen Palace trembled. If it weren't for the celestial chessboard suppression, I am afraid that it would have collapsed. Then, he saw a long xiang appear out of thin air in his Naiwen Palace. A mighty thought like the ocean impacted Fong Qingshan's divine soul with a surging murderous aura. The long xiang pattern that Fong Qingshan visualized collapsed in an instant when it encountered the real long xiang. Roar! With a dragon roar, Fong Qingshan's entire sea of consciousness was shaken by the wind and rain. At the same time, Fong Qingshan's body was in a mess at the moment, riddled with holes. Although it was just a mass of blood essence, the energy in it was not inferior to that of Fong Han's 9 apertures golden pill. Moreover, the long xiang's blood essence was not a panacea, nor was it a treasure. It also contained the long xiang's will. To refine the long xiang's blood essence, one must first withstand the long xiang's will. The long xiang was an existence comparable to an earth immortal, but Fong Qingshan had not even broken through the divine power's secret realm. The difference between the two could be said to be like heaven and earth, although this was only a wisp of the long xiang's will. For Fong Qingshan, he still underestimated its power. Fortunately, he still had an ultimate treasure, the all-heaven chessboard. Seeing that Fong Qingshan was about to be crushed by the long xiang's will, the all-heaven chessboard moved. A supreme and noble aura that belonged to the myriad world instantly suppressed the long xiang's will, followed by a milky white airflow splashing on Fong Qingshan's broken soul. Buzz! In an instant, the soul that was injured by the long xiang's will suddenly recovered. That was close. Fong Qingshan came back to his senses and could not help but break out in a cold sweat. If it wasn't for the all-heaven chessboard, he was afraid that he would have been finished today. However, good fortune is accompanied by disaster, and disaster is accompanied by good fortune. This time around, even though he had almost turned out to be a disaster, but now that he had pulled through, it was a blessing in disguise. It was time to reap the rewards. Fong Qingshan first used the all-heaven chessboard to suppress the raging power of the blood essence in his body. Then he began to visualize the long xiang again. After observing the real long xiang, and even being defeated by the long xiang's blood essence, Fong Qingshan, who was originally in the half-step spirit-detecting realm, felt that his mind was clear, and everything in his body and sea of consciousness was clearly reflected in his heart. In the spirit-detecting realm, he could look inside. The world was in his mind. The mind was infinitely enlarged. Good. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. Then he controlled the visualized long xiang to devour the long xiang's will in his sea of consciousness that was bound by the all-heaven chessboard. While operating the dragon elephant prajna art, he began to refine the long xiang's blood essence little by little. The majesty, domineering, nobility of the long xiang, even the yearning for freedom, the ability to summon clouds and rain, etc., were all accepted by Fong Qingshan as he devoured the long xiang's will little by little. After he digested it, Fong Qingshan could feel that his spiritual will was increasing at every moment. In his mind, the mirage-like gate of divine ability that could only be seen from afar before was now a little clearer. It seemed that he could reach the gate with just a little more effort. As long as the will was subdued, the absorption would be very smooth, but the blood essence was different. The difference in energy level between the dragon elephant's essence blood and Fong Qingshan's was simply too great. Even if he were to slowly refine it and assimilate it bit by bit, the pain was even more excruciating than Wu Yazi's tendon transformation and marrow cleansing. Chapter 103. It hurt. It hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. If a woman giving birth was said to be the greatest pain in the world, then Fong Qingshan's current pain was 10 times, or even 100 times greater than a woman giving birth. If not for the fact that Fong Qingshan's willpower was constantly strengthening and that he had the all-heaven chessboard sitting in his Naiwen Palace, Fong Qingshan would not have been able to endure this kind of pain. His entire body felt like it was being pricked by thousands of needles. Countless ants and snakes wrapped around his body, slowly devouring him. The skin on his body seemed to be scalded and peeled off layer by layer. The pain of the 18 levels of hell was nothing more than this. Destruction followed by reconstruction. Without destruction, there could be no reconstruction. Fang Qingshan's body was being tempered by the dragon elephant blood essence's destruction and repair. Destruction, repair, destruction, repair. The power of the dragon elephant blood essence permeated every cell in Fang Qingshan's body. Skin, muscles, tendons, bones, organs, spinal cord, brain, inch by inch, it seeped into Fang Qingshan's body and brain, strengthening his physique, refining his flesh and blood, and cleansing his mind. The greater the effort, the greater the return. After experiencing such great pain, Fang Qingshan's realm naturally rose rapidly. The early, middle, and late stages of the spirit-detecting realm seemed to flow naturally without any bottlenecks. It was very easy for Fang Qingshan to sense that there was a mysterious place in his brain. That was the divine transformation acupoint. Without a word, Fang Qingshan gathered his remaining strength, qi, blood, and mind, and instantly charged over. Crack! Without any mishaps, the divine transformation acupoint opened. It was not over yet. His mind was still improving, and his body was still being tempered. The Dragon Elephant Prajna Arts 7th level, 8th level, and 9th level were completed without any effort. Not only did it save him a lot of time compared to others, but it also gave him unparalleled strength. After cultivating to the divine transformation realm, Fang Qingshan felt like his body was reassembling itself, changing toward the direction of perfection. Keep working hard and cultivate the divine transformation realm to large success. Feeling that he had only consumed 1/10 of the Dracophant blood essence in his body, Fang Qingshan immediately decided to cultivate his physique realm to perfection first, and then break through to the God Power realm. This time, Fang Qingshan did not sit still to move the Dragon Elephant Prajna art. Instead, he stood up and moved his hands and feet according to the habits of the Dragon Elephant obtained after refining the Dragon Elephant's will. It was not a fist technique, nor was it a martial art. It was the Dragon Elephant's instinct to stand, lie down, walk, breathe, and sleep. It was just like the sleeping technique that Mayu had taught Guijing in the condor shooting. Bang! 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 Following Fang Qingshan's movements, Fang Qingshan seemed to have transformed into a dragon elephant. Waves of heat emanated from his body, making him look like a fiery oven. Every breath he took was like thunder and lightning, rumbling in the cave. 1 horse, 2 horses, 3 horses. With the refinement of the dragon elephant blood essence, Fang Qingshan's strength increased rapidly. Roar! 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 At a certain moment, a dragon's roar and an elephant's trumpet sounded out from Fang Qingshan's body. Then, phantoms of true dragons and divine elephants circled around Fang Qingshan, like the 8 division celestial dragons, but they were formed from Fang Qingshan's blood essence. 10 dragons and 10 elephants. At this moment, with the help of the dragon elephant blood essence, Fang Qingshan finally cultivated the dragon elephant Prajna art to large success. It's time to break through to the God Power realm. Fang Qingshan took a deep breath, gathered all his energy, and let out a loud roar. Open! Then, whether it was the blood essence of the 10 dragons and 10 elephants or the crystallized soul, they all surged into the mysterious God-powered gate in his mind. Bang! A loud sound rang out, and Fang Qingshan's mind buzzed, as if a mountain torrent had crashed into a dam. After the collision, the gate of divinity trembled slightly. Countless complicated runes on it shone brightly, and a vast and desolate aura of the Taoist rhyme was emitted. It flashed slightly, but it didn't move at all. Instead, Fang Qingshan was the one who spat out a mouthful of blood from the recoil. Again, Fang Qingshan had already experienced the pain of being sliced into pieces, so he did not take this little bit of trouble to heart. He did not expect to succeed on the first try. Fang Qingshan's will was as strong as steel. If the first try didn't work, then he would try twice, thrice, 10 times, or even 100 times. He would not stop until he reached his goal. Fang Qingshan's will turned into a dragon elephant, and he attacked the God Power gate again and again. He rammed, whipped, pushed, and stomped, Although the god power gate was sturdy, Feng Qingshan's will was as strong as steel, and he had the strength of the 10 dragons and 10 elephants. Although the dragon elephant was not the heavenly dragon celestial elephant, but in terms of power, even the people on the mountain river list could not compare to it in the Ascension sect. Once, twice, 10 times, 100 times of superposition, at a certain moment, a light cracking sound was heard. Feng Qingshan, who was initially exhausted, heard it, and his entire body trembled. He raised his head to look and saw that there was actually a slight crack on the god power gate. Although the crack was small, but it gave Feng Qingshan hope to break through it. Break! 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 Feng Qingshan regrouped, his will becoming even more resolute. 1,000 miles of dike could be destroyed by an ant's hole. Since there was a crack, then the originally stable castle had a weakness. Crack, crack. Feng Qingshan continued to attack crazily and tirelessly. The sounds of cracking rang out incessantly. With the crack as the center, crack started to spread out like a spider web. Actually, the reason why it was so difficult for Feng Qingshan to break through to the god power realm was because his accumulation was too deep. 10 dragons and 10 elephants. Even Feng Han might not be able to compare. Every peck and every sip, it was destined. The more accumulation, the more solid the foundation. After breaking through, the more benefits one would obtain, and the further one could go, but correspondingly, the difficulty of breaking through would be much higher. Feng Qingshan spent less than 3 days to break through from the Divine Courage realm to the peak of Divine Transformation realm, but he also spent 3 days to break through to the God Power realm. After 3 days, Feng Qingshan's face was pale, all the muscles and bones in his body were trembling, and his blood qi was declining. It was because his foundation was deep. If it was someone else, forget about breaking through to the next realm. If they did not recuperate properly, they might even drop a realm. Luckily, hard work pays off, and at a certain point, the God Power Gate could no longer take the burden, and with a loud bang, it crumbled. Feng Qingshan felt as if he had suddenly become one with heaven and earth, and as he inhaled and exhaled, all kinds of essence, qi seemed to gather. His blood qi and psyche blended together, turning into a brand new, but more advanced power. Magic power. God Power Realm. Feng Qingshan opened his eyes, and 2 beams of light shot out. With a thought, the air around him turned into birds, beasts, insects, fish, mountains, rivers, grass, trees, sabers, spears, swords, halberds, palaces, and pavilions. It was ever-changing, strange, and unpredictable. Following that, a white cloud gathered under Feng Qingshan's feet, and his whole body floated up like a cloud. Of course, this was not the God Power realm, but Feng Qingshan using magic power to simulate the white cloud. Chapter 104. Divine Secret Realm. I've also reached it. Feng Qingshan moved his spiritual sense and could clearly feel the spiritual power in his body. It was as vast as the ocean. When Feng Qingshan was at the Divine Transformation Realm, he already had the strength of 10 dragons and 10 elephants. Now that he had broken through, his strength had risen even further. Feng Qingshan felt his current strength and discovered that he could actually pull back 20 horses. It must be known that Feng Han was in this state when he broke through the true Qi realm, and Long Xian, who had the bloodline of a true dragon, was even worse. Feng Qingshan just broke through the divine secret realm. He actually had this kind of strength. One can imagine how much benefit the Dragon Elephant Prajna art and Dragon Elephant Blood Essence brought him. Of course, the reason for this was not that Feng Qingshan's Dragon Elephant Prajna art was more powerful than Feng Han's Yamabody, and the Dragon Elephant Blood Essence was purer than Long Xian's true dragon bloodline. The reason for this was that the Dragon Elephant Blood Essence was too high level, almost at the level of an Earth Immortal. With the strength of the Dragon Elephant, even the demon gods of the Demon God sect would have to admit defeat in the immortal world. Although Long Xian had the bloodline of a true dragon, it was too thin. Although Feng Han's Yamabody was good, it was only a part of the Great 5 Elements technique. The Dragon Elephant Blood Essence and Dragon Elephant Prajna art complemented each other, achieving the effect of 1 + 1 is greater than 2. Alas, what a pity! Fong Qingshan let out a sigh. Even though his strength was strong, he did not even have a single supreme technique. He could only use his mana to suppress his opponents. The efficiency of this method was too low. It would not work at all. If he encountered someone with a lower cultivation than him, he would naturally be successful. But if he encountered someone with the same cultivation as him, or even higher, he would be at a great disadvantage. Therefore, his top priority now was to prepare to find some divine secret arts to practice and fully display his strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, in a crisis, he could easily win by practicing a small divine secret art. In the end, he would be crushed by his opponent because he didn't have a divine secret art. That would really be a joke. However, it wasn't difficult for Fong Qingshan to obtain the mystic ability. Now that he had broken through to the divine secret realm, as long as he returned to the immortal world, he could be promoted to a true disciple. If a demon or a spy became a true disciple, it would not only be a great loss of face, but it could also endanger the prosperity of the sect. If a demon or a spy became a true disciple, it would not only be a great loss of face, it could also endanger the prosperity of the sect. However, Fong Qingshan did not have such concerns. His background was very clean, and his biological sister Fong Qingxue was also a direct disciple. If he advanced to the divine secret realm and became a secret realm, he would become a disciple would-be. As long as one became a true disciple, the sect's technique imparting elder would pass on a divine ability to the true disciple for free. However, Fong Qingshan wasn't interested in ordinary supernatural powers. The only thing that could attract him in the emergent sect was the great yin-yang technique. It was as it was. Sect was obtained as. Fortunately, in addition to obtaining the divine secret art from the sect, Fong Qingshan had already planned it himself. He could find Fong Han and ask him to pass the Great Five Elements technique to him. After all, in addition to luck, there were also several 3,000 great ways, including the Great Five Elements technique and the Great Reincarnation technique. However, the acquisition of these divine secret arts required a prerequisite. That is, Fong Qingshan had to return to the immortal world and emergent sect. However, in Shushan, Fong Qingshan was not unable to obtain divine secret arts. Putting aside the factor of his foresight, in Shushan, Fong Qingshan was not alone. He was also a disciple of the red-haired old ancestor. Forget it. Let's go back first and get the refining method of the 5-cloud peach flower miasma. Fong Qingshan thought in his heart. Now, with dragon elephant intoxication, it can be said that his defensive power was at its lowest. If Fong Qingshan had the cultivation of the red-haired old ancestor, or even Hong Changbao, he would take the risk and use the second primordial spirit method to sacrificial refine it. Unfortunately, now he has just broken through the divine secret realm, which is equivalent to entering the second level of refining chi into spirit, which is too far away from the existence of the earth immortals like Dragon Elephant. Thinking about it, it was just the will contained in the blood essence of Dragon Elephant that almost destroyed his soul. If it weren't for the celestial chessboard, I'm afraid that not to mention advancing to the divine secret realm, he would have died on the spot, and even being occupied by Dragon Elephant is very likely. Thinking about it, you, a person who has just broken through the divine secret realm, actually wants to refine the head of the emergent sect and the demon god of the demon god sect. Even if they are seriously injured, a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. It's just that he can't go back empty-handed. Since Dragon Elephant is not something he can covet, he can only take a step back and use the 5-cloud peach flower miasma accumulated in the rotten peach mountain for thousands of years to sacrificial refine his first magic weapon. The magic weapon of Shushan is somewhat different from the magic weapon of the immortal world. In the immortal world, only those who reach the divine secret realm can sacrificial refine a magic weapon, while the spiritual weapon must be cultivated to the 5th level of the divine secret realm. The masters of the celestial realm can use their spiritual power to arrange a large formation and engrave a large formation on the items. In Shushan, it's different. As long as there is a refining method, even people in the realm of refining chi into spirit or even refining essence into chi can refine it. It's just that success and danger vary from person to person. The five-cloud peach flower miasma is not afraid of wind and thunder, water and fire, and has infinite changes. Whether it's attack, defense, or flight, it's the best choice. It's really a magic weapon for killing people and traveling at home. Up until now, Fong Qingshan didn't have any special treasures that he could rarely use except for the All-Heaven chessboard, which was a supreme treasure that he couldn't use easily. It was quite embarrassing. This five-cloud peach flower miasma came at the right time. Of course, he has to be fast. After all, Dragon Elephant only ate the half-ripe drunk dragon grass. No one knows when he will wake up. Once he wakes up, Fong Qingshan won't dare to enter the rotten peach mountain even with the celestial chessboard. The red-haired old ancestor has coveted the five-cloud peach flower miasma of the rotten peach mountain for many years. He even built a side palace here, but because of Dragon Elephant, he hasn't been able to do so. Once Dragon Elephant wakes up, his cultivation base will be greatly improved. If he goes to collect it, it will not be entering a treasure mountain, but entering a wolf's den and a tiger's den. Thinking of this, Fong Qingshan rushed to the Redwood Ridge without stopping. After all, it has been 10 days since he threw out the drunk dragon grass, and he obtained the dragon elephant's blood essence to break through the divine secret realm. I'm afraid there's not much time left. Chapter 105. You've broken through to the energy refinement stage? Hong Changbao sat on his throne as he looked at Fong Qingshan, who was standing in the middle of the hall. Yes, disciple. Seeing Hong Changbao's surprised expression, Fong Qingshan was about to tell him the excuse he had prepared beforehand. Forget it. The master can show you the way, but cultivation is up to you. It's your fortune to be able to break through so quickly. Hong Changbao waved his hand and interrupted Fong Qingshan. Since you've broken through to the energy refinement stage, I'll teach you the next stage of the great art of Blood River. As he spoke, Hong Changbao pointed in the air. A golden invitation flew out at lightning speed, but it suddenly stopped in front of Fong Qingshan. Breaking through to the energy refinement stage allows you to obtain a technique or a treasure refinement technique for free. What do you need? Hong Changbao continued to ask. Fong Qingshan initially thought that his quick breakthrough would definitely pique Hong Changbao's interest. Even if he did not interrogate him, he would at least ask a few questions. He did not expect that Hong Changbao would teach him the great art of Blood River without asking any questions. Then he even asked if he needed a technique or a treasure refinement technique. The reason for this was simple. Every cultivator had their own fortune. Although Fong Qingshan's breakthrough surprised Hong Changbao, he did not think too much of it. Furthermore, he had just come out of closed-door training and refined the gourd of 7 malice into a treasure. In the entire Redwood Ridge, apart from the ancestor, no one was a match for him. Furthermore, he and Fong Qingshan had a master-disciple relationship. Master was like a father to a master. This kind of relationship was nothing much in the demonic path, but in the righteous path and the unorthodox path, they were bound together for good or bad. The fact that Fong Qingshan could improve by leaps and bounds was also a matter of pride for him. Therefore, Hong Changbao did not ask too many questions. Although Fong Qingshan did not know what Hong Changbao was thinking, it was best if he did not lie. He immediately stated his request. I want the method to refine the five-cloud peach flower miasma. Oh, five-cloud peach flower miasma? Hong Changbao's brows twitched. He thought that Fong Qingshan would ask for the demonic blood god saber, the 5 elements divine fire cauldron, and the 5 abominations blood-breathing pouch, but he didn't expect it to be the five-cloud peach flower miasma. All right. However, he didn't ask too much. Just as he had said before, the master led the way, and the cultivation was up to the individual. Since Fong Qingshan had chosen the five-cloud peach blossom miasma, it was his own choice. As he spoke, Hong Changbao flicked his finger, and another golden card landed in front of Fong Qingshan. On it was the sacrificial method for the five-cloud peach flower miasma. Thank you, master. Fong Qingshan was overjoyed. He took the 2 golden invitation pages and prepared to leave. Wait, Hong Changbao didn't know if it was because he was in a good mood after successfully refining the gourd of 7 evils, or because Fong Qingshan, as his disciple, had made him proud for breaking through so quickly, but Hong Changbao decided to give him another reward. You're going to refine the 5-cloud peach flower miasma, but with your cultivation, you can't stay in the rotten peach mountain for long. You'll need a treasure to collect miasma. The 5 elements divine fire cauldron of the Redwood Ridge is famous in the world. My ancestor has refined countless of them, and there's no lack of excellent ones. I have one with me, but I don't need it anymore. I'll give it to you. You can use it to collect the 5-cloud peach flower miasma. As he spoke, Hong Changbao shook his sleeve, and with a rumble, a 3-foot-tall, 5-foot square cauldron with 3 legs and 2 handles landed in front of him. Thank you, Master. Fong Qingshan was overjoyed when he saw this. It wasn't that the 5 elements divine fire cauldron was that powerful. If it was the one in the red-haired ancestor's hand, it would be pretty good and probably not inferior to the gourd of 7 evils that he had previously. However, this one was just the best of the best. At most, it could be considered a decent spiritual weapon. Then why was Fong Qingshan so happy? It was because it could help him carry and collect the 5-cloud peach flower miasma. Refining a treasure was not something that could be done in a day. As mentioned earlier, Long Xiang had been drunk for more than 10 days, and no one knew when he would wake up. What if he woke up while he was refining the magic treasure? With the 5 elements divine fire cauldron, there was no need for that. He could first use the 5 elements divine fire cauldron to collect the miasma, and then find a place to slowly refine it. Of course, there was another benefit, and that was that it could help him save time. The 5-cloud peach flower miasma could be refined at any time, but he didn't have much time left in Shushan. Counting his fingers, there were only about 2 months left. There were still many opportunities waiting for him in Shushan. If he didn't have enough time to refine the 5-cloud peach flower miasma, Fong Qingshan wouldn't have thought too much about it. But now, with the 5 elements divine fire cauldron, he had a chance. At the thought of the many treasures and spiritual objects waiting for him in Shushan, Fong Qingshan's mood fluctuated like the blue waves of the sea. He immediately bid farewell to Hong Changbao and returned to his cave abode. After refining the 5 elements divine fire cauldron to the size he wanted, he rushed to Rotten Peach Mountain without stopping. Because Fong Qingshan had the All-Heavens chessboard to protect him, he didn't need the 1,000-year scorpion pill or other defensive treasures. Holding the 5 elements divine fire cauldron, he directly sank to the bottom of Rotten Peach Mountain, where Long Xiang was. The miasma there was the purest and the best choice. Later on, the red-haired old man was able to use the 5-cloud peach flower miasma to make the juniors of Mount Shu, who had precious treasures, suffer a lot because of the materials used. Fong Qingshan took out the 5 elements divine fire cauldron and opened the lid. The cauldron tilted slightly and activated his spiritual power. 5-colored spiritual light swept out like a waterfall. It went straight for the most gorgeous miasma, which was untainted by the mud, and carried a refreshing fragrance that assailed one's nose. 1, 2, 5, 10. In a flash, Fong Qingshan felt the 5 elements divine fire cauldron in his hand sink and actually made a buzzing sound, as if it couldn't bear the burden. Sigh, what a pity! Seeing this, Fong Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. He knew that he couldn't continue collecting. Otherwise, if the 5 elements divine fire cauldron couldn't bear the pressure and exploded, it would be all for naught. Actually, Fong Qingshan was a little greedy. He had collected the essence of Rotten Peach Mountain that had accumulated for thousands of years. Even the red-haired old ancestor and the others didn't deal with Long Xiang mainly because of this pure miasma. At this moment, although Fong Qingshan had not finished collecting it, he had collected almost all of it. If one were to look from outside the mountain, one would notice that the color of the 1,000-year miasma on the entire Rotten Peach Mountain seemed to have dimmed a little. Chapter 106. In Shushan, treasures of heaven and earth, and all kinds of treasures could be found everywhere. The most famous ones were the golden core jade pillar of Purple Cloud Palace, the Lianshan treasure of Moon or Island, the golden boat of Yuanjiang Guangchengzi, the Lingtse Peak of Ningbi Cliff, the ancient treasure of Chiao Mausoleum, the White Rhinoceros Pond treasure of Min Mountain, the Sage Nun's treasure of Illusionary Ripples Pond, the Daxiong treasure of Kongtong Mountain, Ai Jinzi's treasure of Golden Stone Gorge, the Iron Knife Gorge of Northeast Sea, and so on. However, there were all kinds of restrictions in these places, and they were linked by cause and effect. Ordinary people couldn't take them at all. Moreover, even if Fang Qingshan wanted to go to these places to obtain treasures, given his cultivation, it would be time for him to leave before he could arrive at the Iron Saber Gorge of the eastern North Sea. Apart from these treasure houses, the most famous treasures were in Boundless Mountain. Among them, there was the vermilion fruit that Li Yingxiong consumed, the ice silkworm of Mount Nin, the 10,000-year warm jade of Mount Yang, and even the purple and green double swords of Shu Mountain. However, among them, only the vermilion fruit was likely to be obtained by Fang Qingshan. Not to mention the purple and green double swords, not to mention collecting them, he would be lucky not to be cut by the two fierce swords. As for the 10,000-year warm jade, there was already a big demon next to it. The demon corpse Gu Chan was waiting next to it. He was a figure even more powerful than Long Xiang. Long Xiang was unconscious, and even Fang Qingshan didn't dare to touch the Tai Sui, let alone face Gu Chun. As for the ice silkworm, he seemed to be able to take it away by relying on the chessboard of heavens, but there was no place to store it. The 5 elements divine fire cauldron was overloaded with a little 5-cloud peach flower miasma. It definitely couldn't be used to carry the ice silkworm. Although he could easily obtain the vermilion fruit, it didn't seem to have any effect on him. Fang Qingshan thought for a while and found that in Shu Mountain, there were only a few places that he could easily obtain and still useful things. First was the Evil Ghost Gorge, Snake King Temple. Hidden here was the inheritance of the Sand Taoist of the Sand Taoist. It was one of the top legacies in the world. It was not any weaker than Shu Mountain, Wu Dang, and other famous sections. Among them, there is also a rare treasure, which is the golden silk net formed by the 10,000 years golden spider. This thing is best for collecting the true essence of the heterogeneous Niden, and it also has the supreme magical effect of restraining poisonous insects. If it is refined a little, I am afraid that it will not be inferior to the immortal world. The great elder of the emergent sect, Taoist Master Sun Yang, refined it and later gave it to the first true disciple of Tiandu Peak, Hua Tiandu's Sky Chicken Sun Rope. Apart from that, there was another place where it was easier to obtain treasures than the Snake King Temple. That was the 10,000-year hollow azurite, formed by the condensation of the Tai primordial essence. This item was in a cave somewhere in the Een Silkworm Ridge of the Boundless Mountains. The cave was originally a den dug out by foxes and badgers. Later on, the savage Shang Fengzi cleaned it up and turned it into a resting place. In the past, Shang Fengzi used to sleep on a bluestone. Inside the bluestone was the 10,000-year hollow azurite. The only problem was that they didn't know if this place had been discovered. Apart from that, there were 2 other places. One of them was the Wind Cave Mountain, the White Sun Cliff, and the Rainflower Cave. Hidden there was the White Sun diagram of the senior immortal, the White Sun Sage. This was the most exquisite foundation building technique of Taoism. Of course, this item was not very useful to Fang Qingshan now. If his body was still the original congenitally deficient body, he could find this technique to change his tendons and marrows and strengthen his foundation. However, other than the White Sun diagram, there was another needle technique and 2 boxes of radiant bait. The other place was the immortal pure Yang sage Liu Dongbin's Hanshu immortal abode. Rumor had it that before the immortal pure Yang sage Liu Dongbin ascended to immortality, he opened 7 abodes in the human realm. Among them, 6 had already been discovered by later generations. There were many immortal traces in the abode, countless elixirs and talismans. It was unknown how many sword immortals and heroes had been created. Only the last abode, the Hanshu Immortal Abode, had not been discovered. This Hanshu Immortal Abode contained 2 scrolls of Heaven Evasion and Pure Yang sword techniques, 2 scrolls of Salvation and Transcendence pill manuals, and a bottle of Pure Yang golden pill that could increase one's cultivation by 100 years. In addition, Fang Qingshan actually wanted to obtain a spatial talisman, such as the Green Mirage Bottle in the Zhongnan Mountains or the Nine Doubts Cauldron in the ancient sacred land of Emperor Huang Xuanyuan's tomb. The reason for this was because when he was outside, he did not have a talisman that could hold things, and it was not convenient at all. Where should I go to get the treasures first? Fang Qingshan thought carefully. If it was possible, Fang Qingshan naturally wanted to keep all the treasures in his pocket. It was just that there was not enough time. He could still stay in Shu Mountain for about 2 months. It was obviously a fool's dream to think that he could sweep everything clean. Since he could not take everything for himself, he could only maximize the benefits. If there were a few places to hide treasures, the easiest to obtain would be the Tai Primordial Essence, the 10,000-year Hollow Azurite, and the Vermilion Fruit in Boundless Mountain. And the greatest harvest would be the Pure Yang Immortal Abode. Among the few places to hide treasures, the first one that Fang Qingshan eliminated was the Wind Cave Mountain's White Sun Immortal Rainflower Cave. This was because whether it was the White Sun diagram, needle technique, or on bait, they were all tasteless to Fang Qingshan, but a pity to discard. As for the remaining treasures, whether it was the Pure Yang Immortal Abode, or Daoist Hisha's Evil Spirit Gorge, or even Shang Fengzi's 10,000-year Hollow Azurite, Fang Qingshan did not want to let them go. Forget it. I'll go to Snake King Temple first, then Honshu Immortal Abode. If there's still time, I'll go to Heavenly Silk Ridge. After thinking about it, Fang Qingshan finally made a decision. The reason for this was not because Fang Qingshan felt that Snake King Temple was more important than Honshu Immortal Abode. On the contrary, in Fang Qingshan's heart, Honshu Immortal Abode was a notch higher. Firstly, there were many treasures in Honshu Immortal Abode, and they were all precious. Not only were there sword techniques and flying swords, but there was also a pure yang golden pill that could increase one's power by 100 years. For cultivators, cultivation level and cultivation were the foundation, but combat power was also indispensable. This was the same as the inner force and moves in the low martial arts world. There were many ways to increase one's combat power. As long as one's cultivation level and cultivation level increased, one's combat power would also increase. At the same time, if one learned a powerful divine ability or obtained a powerful magic treasure, one's combat power would also increase. However, cultivation level and cultivation level were not enough. Other than luck, it could only be accumulated over time. Now that there was a pure yang golden pill that could increase one's power by 100 years, how could Fang Qingshan let it go? But in the end, he still made this choice. Actually, it was only because the Evil Spirit Gorge Snake King Temple was hidden in the mountains between Yunnan and Guizhou, and Honshu Immortal Abode was not anywhere else. It was in Taiying Mountain's threefold cliff. From Nanjiang to Honshu Immortal Abode, he would have to pass through Yunnan and Guizhou on the way, so he could pick up the Hisha Wondrous Book along the way. With a decision, Fang Qingshan naturally would not delay at all. After identifying the direction, Fang Qingshan rushed towards the Evil Spirit Gorge Snake King Temple between Yunnan and Guizhou. Chapter 107. The Evil Spirit Gorge, the Snake King Temple, was in the southern border, where Yunnan and Guizhou intersected. Although Fang Qingshan had never been there before, it was not difficult to find the exact address since he had it. Although there were high mountains and steep ridges, and the road was difficult to traverse, it was not desolate and uninhabited. After all, the giant siblings Shengnan and Aman were not accepted by ordinary people, so they lived here alone. After spending some time, Fang Qingshan found the Evil Spirit Gorge between two lofty mountains. He saw that it was surrounded by high cliffs, and it was also blocked by thick vines. It did not see the light of day all year round. The terrain was humid, and there was poisonous mist and foul miasma everywhere. The colorful mist was dense, reflecting the sun. Between the cliffs and the bushes, insects and snakes were scurrying around, chasing after people with their heads held high. The Evil Spirit Gorge really lived up to its reputation. The Snake King Temple was on a wide plain in the gorge. It had been around for a long time, and most of the temple tiles were peeling off. It looked extremely dilapidated. Fortunately, the temple walls and temple words were still intact, and did not collapse at all. There were 2 rows of Polonia trees of the same size in front of the temple, and the soil and stones were clean. The Snake King Temple, as the name suggested, was the temple where the Snake King lived. Just like the Poison Dragon Cave, where Feng Qingshan looked for the drunken dragon grass, a good temple had become a snake nest. Fortunately, the Snake King here was at most similar to the Snake King in the Poison Dragon Cave. Back then, Feng Qingshan still relied on the aura of the all-heaven chessboard to deter him, but now he did not need it. Feng Qingshan had just stepped into the Serpent King Temple when he smelled a gust of wind and a rain of blood rushing towards him. A bloody mouth opened wide and swallowed Feng Qingshan. Feng Qingshan saw this and could not help but snort coldly. His feet swayed, and he instantly appeared behind the giant python. Then he grabbed the 7 inches of the giant python and shook it. The giant python was like a deflated balloon, and it instantly softened. "Get lost!" With a flick of his hand, Feng Qingshan tossed the giant python away. It wasn't that he was being merciful. Even though he had easily captured the giant python, it would be a little troublesome to actually kill it. After all, he was purely relying on his magic power to bully others. Without any skills or treasures, he couldn't unleash his full strength at all. The giant python was thrown out by Feng Qingshan and fell heavily to the ground. It knew what was good for itself. It knew that it had met someone it could not provoke. It shook its dizzy head, turned around, and went into the jungle. After sending the giant python away, Feng Qingshan walked towards the back of the Snake King Temple, where the Hesha Wondrous Book was kept. This place was no different from the front, except that the rear hall's doors, windows, walls, and statues had all been removed, leaving only the skeleton of a hall, similar to the pavilion. There was a huge stone stove inside with a big pot on top of it. Looking at the edge of the stove, there was an inscription that indicated it was used by the army during the Song Dynasty. As soon as Feng Qingshan stepped into the back hall, his eyes were attracted by a green stone that was 3 feet long and 8 feet wide. It wasn't that the stone was very attractive. What attracted Feng Qingshan was the jade stone that was 2 feet wide and 4 feet long that was placed on top of the green stone. Although the jade stone didn't look amazing, it was a divine object. Feng Qingshan knew that the Hesha Wondrous Book was hidden in it. He walked forward and picked up the jade stone. He didn't look at it and kept it in his pocket. Firstly, this wasn't the place to break it. Once the jade stone was broken, it would definitely alarm others. Secondly, Feng Qingshan wanted to save time. After keeping the jade stone, Feng Qingshan turned around and went to the back of the temple. He saw a red and purple bag that was shaped like a fish net. It was about 10 feet wide and was held up by a 3-pronged tree branch. It looked like silk and felt sticky to the touch. The holes were thin and bright. When he sniffed it, he could smell a strange fishy smell. Those who didn't know would think that it was just a broken fish net. In fact, they didn't know that it was formed by the silk of a 10,000-year-old golden spider. It was best at collecting the inner core and vital vitality of different kinds. It also had the supreme ability to restrain poisonous insects. Feng Qingshan grabbed the golden net and kept it in his pocket. He didn't stop and turn around to leave the Snake King Temple. Other than being in a hurry, Feng Qingshan remembered that although the Snake King Temple was safe and simple, it wasn't without any accidents. After all, there seemed to be one of the 3 evils of Zhongnan, Shangzhu, guarding this place. He was the disciple of the Iron Drum Immortal Zhou and the martial nephew of Hesha Daoist. Speaking of which, this item belonged to his sect. If he bumped into it, the consequences would be unpredictable. After all, whether it was in terms of orthodoxy, cultivation, or strength, he didn't have the advantage. Fortunately, he didn't know whether Feng Qingshan was lucky or Shangzhu wasn't in the mountain. After leaving the evil Ghost Gorge, no one chased after him. Feng Qingshan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. After successfully getting the Hesha Wondrous Book, Feng Qingshan's task was half completed. Compared with the sword techniques in the Honshu Immortal Mansion, in fact, the Hesha Wondrous Book seemed to have a greater effect on Feng Qingshan's cultivation. After all, when he returned to the immortal world, Fang Qingshan could learn the Great Five Elements technique from Fang Han. Throughout Shushan, in terms of the attainment of the Great Five Elements technique, he Sha Daoist was the best. Even the sage nun of Yihuan Ridge was still a distance away from him. Not to mention other things, he Sha Daoist ascended to the spiritual immortal realm with the cultivation of the unorthodox golden immortal, while the sage nun of Yihuan Ridge was still sitting at the bottom of the pond of illusionary ripples in Yihuan Ridge. Her primordial spirit was extinguished, and she was similar to a dead person. She couldn't have the slightest thought. Otherwise, she would break out of the state of death. The Hesha Wondrous Book was the record of the Great Five Elements technique of Sha Daoist. It described the Great Five Elements technique. It focused on the cultivation of the genuine qi of the five elements and condensed the magical power of the Great Five Elements extermination divine light. It was not inferior to the Five Emperors canopy condensed by Fang Han's Great Five Elements technique. The two, one for attack and one for defense, complemented each other. By combining the Hesha Wondrous Book with the Great Five Elements technique, Fang Qingshan believed that it would definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort. After leaving the Evil Spirit's Gorge, Fang Qingshan identified the direction and rushed to the threefold cliff of Taihang Mountain without stopping. From the Redwood Ridge to the Evil Spirit's Gorge, Fang Qingshan spent 7 days, except for the necessary recovery of his spiritual power. From the Evil Spirit's Gorge to the threefold cliff of Taihang Mountain, Fang Qingshan spent nearly a month. Although he had broken through to the secret realm of the God Realm, he couldn't take it anymore. Apart from the necessary recovery, he had been rushing on the road nonstop. Fortunately, there was always a reward. Not to mention that the threefold cliff of Taihang Mountain was right in front of him. In this month or so, Fang Qingshan recovered his genuine qi, so he continued to travel. When his genuine qi was exhausted, he meditated to recover. During this exhaustion, recovery, and exhaustion, Fang Qingshan not only stabilized the realm he had just broken through, but his genuine qi was also polished. It became more refined, and he could use it more freely. He was not far from the middle stage of the realm of spiritual power. Chapter 108. Compared to the Evil Spirit Gorge and Snake King Temple at the southern border, the threefold cliff of Mount Taihang was much easier to find. The cliffs here were winding. Although it was not as winding as Mount Tai, it was like a zigzag. The twists and turns matched the name of the threefold cliff. It was indeed worthy of its name. When he arrived at the threefold cliff, he saw a stone platform halfway up the mountain. It was about an acre wide, facing the mountains, and below it was a ravine. The sound of pines and springs complemented each other. There were 2 waterfalls on the side of the stone, like jade dragons hanging upside down, descending hundreds of feet. The stone was embroidered with flowers and thick green moss, engulfing the stone. It was as if there was a cushion hanging on the cliff. Fang Qingshan wandered around the stone platform and found an abandoned cave behind the vines. However, he did not enter the cave immediately. Compared to the cave, this stone platform also hid a bunch of treasures, but they were comparable to the treasures in the cave. Pure Yang Immortal had a jade bottle of elixirs, a medicine spatula, and 2 demon refining swords here. Those elixirs were the pure Yang golden pills, which was Fang Qingshan's main reason for coming here. 1 pill could increase one's cultivation by 100 years. Forget about the medicine spatula. Although it was also a treasure, probably not any weaker than a high-grade or even peerless treasure, Fang Qingshan did not care about it at all. Even though he did not have a treasure that he could take out right now. Although this thing was of a good grade, it was mainly used to dig herbs. Using it for battle was a waste. Apart from the pure Yang golden pills, the 2 demon refining swords were what Fang Qingshan valued the most. These 2 swords were specially refined by pure Yang Immortal before he ascended. Although they were casually refined and could not compare to Mount Amei's purple and green twin swords, pure Yang Immortal was a person of great status. Even if they were casually refined, they would not be inferior to many of the top flying swords in the world. Fong Qingshan felt that the grade of these two fiend refining treasured swords was so high that they had probably reached the level of Dao artifacts. Furthermore, they were not below average. Even if they could not reach the peerless grade, they were at least above average. The stone platform was only so big, and pure Yang Immortal did not deliberately hide it. Therefore, after circling around for a while, Fong Qingshan found something unusual. Break! Fong Qingshan was overjoyed when he saw this. He revolved his magic power and raised his hand to throw a punch. Bang! A concealment spell formation was easily broken. Following that, a shovel, a bottle, and two swords flashed with brilliance and were about to soar into the sky. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan was stunned for a moment, then turned pale with fright. Without thinking too much, he quickly mobilized the heavenly chessboard. Freeze! There was no treasure light that soared into the sky, nor was there any great momentum. There was only an invisible wave that spread out in an instant. A shovel, a bottle, and two swords were frozen in midair. Good heavens, I almost got nothing. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He hurriedly went forward to see the four treasures and put them away, in case anything unexpected happened. Not good. After putting the item into his bag, Fong Qingshan did not even have the time to rejoice when he suddenly thought of something terrifying. This was Shushan, where karma was intertwined. If there was no movement, with the heavenly chessboard concealing the mysteries of heaven, there should be no problem in a short period of time, just like when he got the treasure at the Snake King Temple. Of course, it was also possible that when he got the treasure at the Snake King Temple, he only took the jade and did not immediately break the seal. But now, he came to the threefold cliff to get the treasure and break the seal. He did not know if it was fate or if pure Yang Immortal had set the time to get the treasure, but when he broke the seal, the treasure flew away automatically. This obviously alarmed the big shots in Shushan. Oh no! Time is running out. I have to get the sword skills and treasures in the cave abode quickly and leave Shushan immediately. Otherwise, once those earth immortals and celestial immortals come to their senses and block my way, I will be in trouble. Thinking of this, Fong Qingshan rushed into the cave abode behind the vines. The scene in the cave was clear at a glance. The stone room was spacious and well-arranged. The four walls were glittering with pearls and jade, dazzling the eyes. Walking to the depths of the cave, he saw an elixir cauldron with the inscription of Pure Yang. Fong Qingshan went forward and looked inside the elixir cauldron. He did not find anything, so he began to look around, trying to figure out where the treasure was most likely to be hidden. At the same time, on the distant East Sea, on top of a geocentric point, a raging fire was erupting, suppressing an elixir cauldron. 3 people were sitting cross-legged around the elixir cauldron, making hand seals from time to time. These 3 people looked like a scholar, one looked like a monk, and the last looked like a Taoist priest. The 3 people sat in a triangle. They were none other than the 3 immortals of the Eastern Sea, ascetic Duda, Qi Shuming, and Zhuan Zhenzi, one of the famous 3 immortals and 2 elders of Shu Mountain. At this moment, the Taoist priest, who was about to make a hand seal, could not help but stop. Although he quickly recovered, the 3 people present were connected with each other, so they could naturally feel his abnormality. "Junior brother, what's wrong?" the monk asked with a frown. Hearing this, the scholar opened his eyes and looked at the Taoist priest, waiting for his reply. Alas, the last cave abode of Pure Yang Immortal has appeared. The Taoist priest sighed. "What? That's impossible. How could this be? Now is not the time to appear." Hearing this, the scholar and the monk immediately frowned. Without saying anything, they moved their fingers and calculated. However, the more they calculated, the deeper their frown became. It seems that an anomaly has appeared. After a long while, the scholar stopped. "It's not just an anomaly. I'm afraid those demons and ghosts are also adding fuel to the fire." The monk snorted coldly. Fortunately, the prosperity of Mount Amei has not changed because of this. The Taoist priest said with some relief, "However, this matter has to be investigated." Now that we are too far away, let's see if the Taoist guarding Mount Tiang has found anything. For a moment, the three of them could not help but fall silent. Only the raging earth fire would occasionally make a slight noise. At this moment, in the threefold cliff, Fong Qingshan was also frowning. This was because, unlike when he found the elixir and the sword on the stone platform outside the cave abode, he had almost turned the entire cave abode upside down and still could not find the treasures. In fact, the reason for this was because of the problem of perception. In Fong Qingshan's opinion, the treasures outside the cave abode were not inferior to the treasures inside the cave abode. In fact, they might even be more practical. However, in the eyes of pure young immortal, he did not see it that way. The three treasures outside the cave abode were extremely precious to outsiders, but they were merely something that he had casually refined. On the other hand, the treasures inside the cave, especially the two sword techniques and the alchemy manual, were the fruits of his lifetime of cultivation. They were an inheritance. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. Therefore, he had casually set up a concealment formation outside the cave abode and left it for the fated one inside. Chapter 109. I am a disciple of Hongmu Ridge, a side sect of Nanjiang. Today, I was fortunate enough to come to Senior's cave residence by chance. I hope to obtain spiritual master's inheritance. In the future, I will work hard to kill demons and not let down Senior's reputation. When Fong Qingshan realized that he couldn't find it, he suddenly had a brainwave and thought of an idea that wasn't really a solution. He immediately bowed respectfully toward the pill cauldron. He gave a 90-degree bow that was very deep. Unfortunately, the idea was beautiful, but the reality was cruel. Fong Qingshan did not move. Half an hour passed, but there was no movement at all. The cave residence was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. The wind blew and rippled the spring water, but there was no reaction. If it was any other day, Fong Qingshan wouldn't hesitate even if it was an hour or half a day, let alone half an incense's time. But at this moment, it was different. Fong Qingshan knew that the experts in Shushan already knew that he had obtained treasures from the Honshu Immortal Cave. Maybe they were already on their way here. He didn't have much time, and he couldn't afford to waste it. Otherwise, even if Master Chunyang was really moved by his sincerity and bestowed the treasure to him, would they tell him that he was fated to get it when he turned around and met the guardian or the people from a Mei sect? Spiritual Master, forgive me. Seeing that this method was useless, Fong Qingshan no longer hesitated and immediately stood up. With a solemn expression, he took out the demonic blood saber that he had obtained from Hong Changbao, circulated his transcendence energy, and slashed in all directions. Fong Qingshan thought that since he could not find it, he would destroy the entire cave residence. The place where the treasure was hidden would naturally be revealed. For a time, the saber light flashed and the cold air shone. The originally ruined cave residence seemed to have encountered a catastrophe. Rumble! Rocks rolled down and dust rose everywhere. Even though he was destroying the cave abode, his eyes were constantly paying attention to the movements in the cave abode. At this moment, Fong Qingshan's eyes suddenly lit up. He discovered that there was a dim light flashing in a corner from time to time. The saber lights that he had slashed over were basically all diverted to the surroundings. At this moment, the surroundings were in a mess. Only that corner seemed to have nothing happened. All right. It was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find what he was looking for without much effort. He had finally found this place where the treasures were hidden. Fong Qingshan came to a corner and raised his saber. He gathered all the strength in his body and used all his spiritual power. With a boom, he chopped down like an incense breaking a mountain to save its mother. Kacha! This restriction did not exist to protect the treasures. It was similar to the concealment array on the stone platform outside. It was used to conceal the treasures, but it was more sophisticated. Therefore, in the face of Fong Qingshan's all-out attack, it still broke. Before Fong Qingshan could rejoice, his heart suddenly palpitated, as if a catastrophe was about to befall him, and he immediately quivered. Which demon dares to stir up trouble? Then, He heard a loud roar, and a strong pressure instantly came from afar, pressing down on Fong Qingshan so much that he couldn't breathe. Fong Qingshan shuddered and strode to the corner. He picked up a jade box and did not even have time to look at it. With a thought, he connected to the chessboard of heavens. With a flash of brilliance, he left Shushan in an instant. After a while, as soon as Fong Qingshan left Honshu's cave, a light fell and a sage-like figure appeared. He should have been exasperated and furious, but at this moment, he was dumbfounded. Because in the cave, he clearly felt that there was someone in the cave, but now there was nothing but flying dust and a messy and dilapidated scene. How is this possible? There was no treasure, and there was no one who stole the treasure. Even if it was the three immortals and the two elders, the six freaks of the universe, or even the immortal Ji Lu, or even Master Bai Mei, it was impossible for them to disappear in front of his eyes in an instant without leaving a trace. The man couldn't believe it, so he used his divine sense to sweep the cave over and over again, but he still found nothing. He didn't believe it and stayed in the cave for 10 days and half a month, but he still didn't find any trace. In the end, he had to leave dejectedly. At the same time, in the immortal world, Fong Qingshan suddenly appeared in the underground world. Fong Qingshan first looked around and saw that it was still the place he left from. He quickly moved far away. After all, this place was not far from the demonic god altar. Although the demonic god had not manifested yet, a gentleman would not stand under a dangerous wall. Fong Qingshan still moved far away and found a secluded place. Whew! That was close. I almost got hit. At this time, Fong Qingshan breathed a long sigh of relief. He felt relieved and thought of his trip to Shu Mountain this time. Although he didn't stay long, he had gained a lot. Although he consumed a 7 evils gourd, first of all, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, breaking through to the secret realm of magical power. When he returned to Emergent Sect, he didn't even need to be assessed as an inner disciple. He could be promoted to a true disciple. Then, it was the harvest of the Snake King Temple and Honshu Immortal Cave. The Great Way of the 5 Elements contained in the Snake King Temple and the Great 5 Elements technique that he was about to get from Fong Han confirmed each other, but it could make him walk quickly and steadily on the Great Way of the 5 Elements. Moreover, the Great Way of the Sand is a method that leads directly to the Golden Immortal. Although the cultivation system of the two worlds is different, all methods return to one and the same. At least it can point out the direction for him. And the golden silk net woven by the 10,000 years golden spider, with a little sacrifice, is a high-grade or even peerless treasure. As for the Honshu Immortal Cave, not to mention the pure Yang golden elixir, with that bottle of elixir, he can still advance by leaps and bounds after breaking through the magical power. As long as he doesn't encounter a bottleneck or need any other treasure to break through, he will not have the slightest shackles in terms of cultivation. Forget about the medicine spatula. He will hardly use it in the future, but it is also a treasure-level item. In the future, he can use it as a gift, but it is a decent thing. Then there are the 2 demon refining treasured swords. These 2 treasured swords are above the high-grade Dao tool level. With them, he will not need to use the celestial chessboard all the time in the future. Although these 2 treasured swords do not have the existence of a tool spirit, there are still advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage is that they cannot act on their own and must be commanded by him. The advantage is that after he refines them, he will be able to command them more easily. With Fong Qingshan's current cultivation, once he refines the 2 pure Yang flying swords, let alone the celestial being realm, even the experts of the 8th or 10th tier of the magical power realm. So what? He can't beat them, but it is not a problem for him to retreat. Of course, the premise is that the people of the 8th or 10th tier of the magical power realm do not have a Dao tool. However, this situation generally does not happen because only those in the celestial being realm can barely get a high-grade treasure. And for the experts of the 10th tier of the magical power realm, the peerless treasure is very useful. Those who are not in the longevity realm rarely have a Dao tool. Chapter 110. Thinking of this, Fong Qingshan suddenly froze for a moment. For experts in the 10th tier of the divine secret realm, peerless treasured weapons were very useful. Those who were not in the immortality realm rarely had Tao weapons. Even those in the immortality realm did not have Tao weapons. On the other hand, not only did he have a Tao artifact, he also had two of them. Sigh. It seems that I can't use these two fiend refining swords unless I have no other choice. Fong Qingshan could not help but sigh. Even some of the immortality realm people might not have Tao weapons. If he took two Tao weapons and swaggered around, it would really be like a 3-year-old child carrying gold bricks on the street. As long as those in the divine secret realm were not like Hua Tiandu, they indeed could not do anything to him. If he could not beat them, no one could stop him if he wanted to leave, as long as he did not fall into a trap. However, this was only the divine secret realm. What about those in the immortality realm? Therefore, he really could not use these two fiend refining swords unless he had no other choice. An ordinary man is not guilty, but treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. Thinking of this, Fong Qingshan could not help but shake his head. Originally, he thought that after obtaining the fiend refining swords, he finally did not need to use the all-heaven chessboard. He did not expect that in the end, he still could not use it easily. At this stage, these two pure young treasured swords can only be used as a trump card. It seems that I still have to get a decent treasure. Fong Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. He really had a life of toil. People entered a treasure mountain and returned empty-handed, but he did not dare to use the treasure openly. In the end, all of this is because my cultivation is too low. Fong Qingshan muttered to himself. If he had Hua Tiandu's cultivation, so what if he was facing an immortality realm person? If he dared to snatch his treasure, he would teach him a lesson. Fortunately, I got the pure young golden pill. Thinking of this, Fong Qingshan touched the jade bottle in his bosom and could not help but slightly raise the corner of his mouth. In addition to the medicinal hoe, the pure young golden pill, and the fiend refining flying swords, he also obtained a treasure in the Honshu cave abode. That was the one-finger jade box that he had obtained at the last moment. There were 2 alchemy manuals and 2 sword manuals. The alchemy manuals were salvation and separation, while the sword manuals were heaven escape and pure yang. There was no need to talk about the sword technique. This was a legacy that was no weaker than the He-Sha wondrous scripture. With them, the power of his pure yang flying sword would be incomparable to before. One had to know that before perfected Master Chun Yang ascended, he had slain demons and devils with his flying sword, which made people tremble in fear. However, it wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. As for the pill book, although Master Chun Yang was not famous for his pills, but just thinking about the pure yang gold pill that he refined, one could get a glimpse of the big picture. Furthermore, the 8 immortals of the upper cave were the disciples of the Grand Pure One, the Lord of Tao and Virtue. He was a saint, a truly indestructible existence. In particular, old Lord Taishang was renowned throughout the world for his pills. A single Golden 9 Transformations pill could allow a mortal to break through to Golden Immortal. However, just like the sword technique, it wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time if he wanted to learn the inheritance in the pill book. After organizing his gains, Fong Qingshan began to think about how to turn these opportunities into his own strength. First of all, whether it was the jade stone that contained the He-Sha wondrous scripture or the jade box that contained the sword technique, he didn't need to open them. Although this place was secluded, it wasn't safe and wasn't a good place to cultivate techniques. Secondly, cultivating techniques wasn't something that could be completed in a short period of time. He couldn't increase his battle power in a short period of time, so he gave up. Similarly, refining pills was also excluded. The reason was the same. This wasn't the place to refine pills, and it also required time. The only thing that could increase one's battle power in a short period of time was magic treasures. Fong Qingshan first hastily refined the 2 demonic treasured swords so that they could change their size at will. After that, he stored them in his dantian and nurtured them. This was because truly refining these 2 treasured swords wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. However, even with a preliminary refinement, he could still unleash a portion of the 2 treasured swords' power. At the very least, if he caught someone off guard, even a celestial realm expert would be killed by his sword if they weren't careful. After all, the pure yang treasured swords were treasured swords of slaughter. Their attacks were sharp, and other Dao treasures couldn't compare. Especially when dealing with fiendish demons, it had always been successful. After storing the treasured swords in his dantian and nurturing them with his magic power, Fang Qingshan then refined the golden silk net. This thing wasn't as troublesome as the demonic treasured swords. After a bit of refinement, Fang Qingshan was able to command it like it was his own arm. Then, Fang Qingshan didn't refine the medicinal hoe, even though it was a high-grade, or even peerless, treasure. However, as mentioned earlier, this item had its own specialties. It wasn't an offensive or defensive treasure, but a treasure that specialized in gathering medicinal herbs. Now, he had the demonic treasured swords for attack and the golden silk net for support. However, he lacked a treasure for defense. Thus, Fang Qingshan started refining his first treasure, 5-Cloud Peach Blossom Miasma. The materials were readily available, and Fang Qingshan also obtained the refining method of 5-Cloud Peach Blossom Miasma from the Redwood Ridge. If he hadn't been in a hurry to get the treasures of the Snake King Temple and the Threefold Cliff, he would have already started refining. Because he had the refining method, Fang Qingshan only needed to follow it step by step. Therefore, the refining of 5-Cloud Peach Blossom Miasma was not difficult. It just needed to consume a little of Fang Qingshan's concentration. In fact, although refining 5-Cloud Peach Blossom Miasma was relatively simple, it was only relatively speaking, and it couldn't be completed in a short period of time. However, unlike cultivation, Fang Qingshan was able to stop at any time without worrying about being interrupted when he was crafting a Dharma treasure, because he had to follow the steps of a gourd. The reason why he didn't immediately return to the emergent sect after returning to a mortal world was not to be promoted to a true disciple, but at least it was quiet and safe to cultivate. It was because he thought that soon, Fang Qingxue would bring Fang Han to the underground world to gain experience. As the saying goes, a gentleman's revenge is never too late. A villain's revenge is never too late. Although he was not a gentleman, nor was he a villain, he had the ability and the opportunity to take revenge, and he would never be lenient. At the beginning, he was forced to leave a mortal world by the monster god and almost wasted a world that he had opened with great difficulty. This hatred must be avenged. Although even if he was promoted to the divine secret realm, there was still a big gap between him and the monster god, and even his clone. However, if he had Fang Qingxue to contain him and the pure yang flying sword, Fang Qingshan had reason to believe that different fireworks would burst out. Therefore, Fang Qingshan stayed in the underground world, far away from the monster god altar, but he could always pay attention to the movement. While refining 5-Cloud Peach Blossom Miasma, he quietly waited for the arrival of Fang Qingxue, waiting for the opportunity for revenge. Chapter 111. The waves of the sky faded, but the heat could not stay. The wind blew in broad daylight, and the scenery flowed westward. Fang Qingshan was immersed in refining the 5-Cloud Peach Flower Miasma and lost track of time. 3 days. Although the framework of the 5-Cloud Peach Flower Miasma had just been set up in terms of power, although it was not yet at the level of a treasure, any magic tool or spiritual tool would immediately become a pile of scrap iron if it was contaminated by the 5-Cloud Peach Flower Miasma. Boom! At a certain moment, an earth-shattering aura suddenly came from afar, sweeping across the entire underground plain. Fang Qingshan was naturally not alarmed, but he was happy instead, because he knew that the opportunity he had been waiting for had finally come. This aura was not unfamiliar to Fang Qingshan at all, because it was this aura that had forced him to cross worlds. Good and evil will always be rewarded. It's just that it's late or early. Fang Qingshan chuckled, stood up, and stretched his arms and legs. With a wave of his hand, the 5-Cloud Peach Flower Miasma fell into his hand. Then, with a gentle shake, a 5-colored cloud wrapped around Fang Qingshan, and he turned into a rainbow light, speeding towards the place where the demon aura was rampant. When he was near, Fong Qingshan put away the 5-cloud peach flower miasma, mainly because it was too eye-catching and could easily expose himself. He carefully approached the battlefield, but he saw a woman like a reef in the sea. Although the demon aura was soaring, it was like a gentle breeze. She looked at the demon god altar in the distance with a slightly serious expression. This person was Fong Qingshan's sister, Fong Qingxue. And on the other side, it was Fong Han who had suddenly erupted and was evenly matched with an Azura. Fong Qingxue, you're not bad. A mere true disciple actually dared to come to the demon god altar and want to destroy it. You have guts. No wonder Ing Tianqing didn't even listen to Ing Xiantian because of you. The voice of the demon god avatar was like thunder, exploding in his chest. Although Fong Qingshan had broken through to the divine secret realm, and his physical strength was also very strong, he could not help but feel suffocated, let alone Fong Han. He covered his ears and lay on the ground. Only then did the pain lessen a little. However, you're overestimating yourself. If I don't teach you a lesson today, wouldn't I be ridiculed by others in the future? As soon as the voice fell, the demon god's doppelganger flicked its sleeves and used the sky demon swallows the sun. In an instant, the dark underground world seemed to have been devoured by a heavenly dog. Black fog filled the air, and all the light disappeared. It was so dark that one could not even see their own fingers. Good fella, powerful indeed. When Fong Qingshan saw this scene, he couldn't help but be speechless. Although he had never seen Hong Changbao in action, he knew that Hong Changbao was far from being comparable to the demon god. Even if Long Xiang was compared to Hong Changbao, he would have to try to know who was stronger. Only at the last moment, the aura that he sensed in the pure Yang Immortal's cave mansion could suppress him. Fong Qingshan couldn't help but secretly rejoice. Last time, it was fortunate that he had left quickly, otherwise it would have been a disaster. Of course, it was just an aura. This was not the beast god's true form, but a clone. Otherwise, Fong Qingxue would have fled long ago. Strangle! At this moment, a soft voice could be heard in the darkness. Then, like a flash of dawn, Fong Qingxue's figure reappeared. Her white robe fluttered in the wind, and purple lightning surrounded her. The two violet electric yin-yang serpents suddenly transformed. They actually grew deer horns and eagle-like claws on their lower bodies. Above their lips, long beards appeared, adding to their old, desolate, and ancient aura. Serpents transforming into dragons. Then, the two dragons soared into the sky. Their heads were like a pair of scissors, and their tails were like a pair of scissors, cutting towards the darkness. Whoosh! The darkness shattered, and light reappeared. Although Fong Qingxue tore through the darkness, it wasn't without a price. Her face was pale, and her white robe was stained with blood like peach blossoms. Go! Fong Qingxue obviously didn't expect the demon god's doppelganger to be so powerful. With her cultivation level at the 4th level of the mystic realm, she was actually injured by the doppelganger in one move. Fortunately, her goal this time was accomplished. She challenged those of a higher level, conquered her inner demons, and witnessed a higher level of power. When she returned, she would find a place to cultivate in seclusion. Breaking through to the celestial being realm was just around the corner. Therefore, without a word, Fong Qingxue grabbed Fong Han and was about to leave. Leave? Do you think my altar of the demon god is a place where you can come and go as you please? The doppelganger's voice pressed down like a mountain. This wasn't a metaphor, but a fact. The doppelganger's voice condensed into mountains, smashing towards Fong Qingxue, shattering the purple lightning around her. Come back! Following that, a gigantic hand that blotted out the sky came crashing down like an inescapable net, trapping Fong Qingxue in its hand. Heavens will like a blade kill. Fong Qingxue used her palm as a blade and slashed down. It was the violet electric thunderblade that she was used to. Omniscient nature. However, Fong Qingxue also knew that the violet electric thunderblade alone wouldn't help at all. Fortunately, she didn't use this magical power to break the shackles. She just wanted to buy some time for her second magical power. After 3 breaths, the huge thunder saber exploded and turned into thousands of rotating saber lights. Within the saber lights, there were countless scenes, including houses, palaces, cities, trees, flowers, mountains, immortals, lightning, flames, wind, dragons, tigers, and everything else in the world. At the same time, while the demon god and Fang Qingxue were fighting, Fang Qingshan had already sneaked near the altar of the demon god. However, at this moment, there was no one on the altar of the demon god. Azura had been tricked by Fang Qingshan. Wang Molan had already been killed by Fang Qingshan with the celestial chess piece a few months ago, and the pure fox demon girl had died in Fang Qingshue's hands. Heaven is on my side. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan was overjoyed. Looking back, he saw a crack in the shrouding sky demon's hand, followed by a flash of purple lightning. Kill! Fang Qingshan took a deep breath and shouted. He infused all his dermic powers into a pure yang flying sword. Then, instead of sacrificing himself to the sword, he let the sword carry him. Becoming one with the sword, he slashed at the demon god's avatar on the altar of the demon god. You're courting death. The demon god thought that Fang Qingxue was bold enough. A mere inherited disciple dared to touch his whiskers. He even felt it was a pity that Fang Qingxue had escaped from him. He didn't expect that there would be someone who dared to provoke him. First, he hid in the dark, but now, he was like a poisonous snake, biting at the demon god. Of course, this was not the point. The point was that the demon god's avatar felt a deadly crisis from the brilliant sword light. Fang Qingxue, who was about to leave the underground world with Fang Han, suddenly felt a majestic sword chi. Her icy face could not help but show a trace of surprise. Chapter 112. There's someone else hiding in the dark? Fang Qingxue's interest was piqued. A tiger's but should not be touched. She did not expect that there would be someone else with the same goal as her. Looking back, her pupils shrank. Although she had already felt the pressure from the sword light, seeing it with her own eyes gave her an even greater feeling. 3,000 guests were drunk in the hall, and one sword froze 14 states. From afar, one could only see a ball of sword light moving forward. The murderous intent was so dense that it was almost tangible. It was more than 10 times more powerful than the one that Qing Shui had used to tear the demon god's doppelganger apart. Of course, this did not mean that Fang Qingshan's cultivation was higher than Fang Qingshue's. It was just that the power of the Dao weapon was too great, especially the pure yang demon refining sword in Fang Qingshan's hand. It was of a high grade and was a killing weapon. It had a strong restraining effect on demons. That was why it had such an effect that even Fang Qingxue was shocked. A supreme Dao weapon. No, it's an upper-grade Dao weapon. But its attack is not weaker than a supreme Dao weapon. Not only Fang Qingxue, but Yin, who was hidden in the underworld painting in Fang Han's body, was also shocked. What? An upper-grade Dao weapon that is not weaker than a supreme Dao weapon? Fang Han could not help but be shocked when he heard Yan's words. Third brother? At this moment, Fang Han suddenly heard Fang Qingxue exclaim. Then Fang Qingxue, who was about to leave the underground world, suddenly stopped. She let go of Fang Han and rushed back to the demon god altar. Fang Han was stunned at first. Then he was equally shocked. He's the third young master? Fang Han looked at the magnificent sword light in front of him in a daze. His face was full of disbelief. Third young master? Yin was also shocked when he heard Fang Han's words. Yin had heard about Fang Qingshan from Fang Han. It was precisely because of this that Yin was shocked. Furthermore, seeing was believing. Fang Qingshan had shocked Yin the first time they met. Not only had he broken through to the divine secret realm, but he also had a killing sword that was not weaker than a supreme Dao weapon. Let's not talk about Fang Qingxue and Fang Han for now. Fang Qingshan took him by surprise. Like a poisonous snake, he slashed out with his sword. Before the sword light arrived, the sound of the sword could already be heard. It was so loud that even the deaf could hear it. Sometimes it was high, sometimes it was low, sometimes it was slow, sometimes it was fast, sometimes it was loud, sometimes it was deep, and sometimes it was intermittent. But in the eyes of the demon god's clone, His expression was extremely solemn, because what entered his eyes was a boundless killing intent. Fong Qingshan's cultivation was not worth mentioning in his eyes. Killing him was like killing an ant. What was worse was that although Fong Qingshan couldn't unleash the full power of the fiend refining sword in Fong Qingshan's hand, he wasn't the demon god himself, so the power he could divide was limited. In addition, this killing weapon seemed to be able to restrain his strength. When facing him, he could only use 50% of his strength. This was extremely terrifying. Just where did this Tao artifact come from? How could it be so sinister? The demon god's clone was alarmed, but he did not hesitate to attack. The demon god's clone's expression was solemn. His hand changed continuously. Sometimes 3 fingers intertwined, sometimes the thumb was raised, and sometimes the middle finger was raised. In an instant, he changed thousands of hand seals. The sword light fell, but it was weakened layer by layer. The demon god's clone wanted to use this method to disintegrate the sharp sword chi. On the other side, Fong Qingxue was prepared to escape after this attack. But when she looked back, she found that the person who had the same goal as her was her third brother. What she saw made her both surprised and delighted. Surprised that Fong Qingshan was so daring. He dared to copy her and stroke the demon god's whiskers, even though it was just a clone. But it was also the clone of a powerhouse in the longevity secret realm. Even she could only try and escape. What made him happy was that Fong Qingshan had actually broken through to the mystic secret realm. Not only that, he even had a treasured killing sword that was no weaker than a supreme grade Tao artifact. Although she knew that Fong Qingshan's fortuitous encounter was not simple, this happiness came too suddenly. If it was someone else, Fong Qingxue would have left without a care. But Fong Qingshan was her own younger brother. He was also a member of the Fong clan, the second divine secret realm expert of the Fong clan. Naturally, Fong Qingxue couldn't just ignore it. Fortunately, Fong Qingshan's unexpected move allowed Fong Qingxue to see an opportunity. Returning to the demon god's altar, Fong Qingxue did not hesitate and took out her Tao artifact. In an instant, a talisman rose above Fong Qingxue's head and expanded in the wind. In an instant, it grew to a radius of 3 to 4 miles. There were many pictures of the Thunder Emperor on it. Some had a human head and bird body, holding a thunder hammer, while others had a human body and bird head, with lightning of various colors circling around them. There were also scriptures made up of words. They were not modern words. They were ancient and desolate. Each word seemed to be describing the rules of heaven and earth, the secrets of the ancient times, and the mysteries of the primordial world. This item was Fong Qingxue's trump card, the ancient Thunder Emperor's decree. Compared to Fong Han's underworld serpent painting, Fong Qingshan's fiend refining sword was not inferior to a peerless Tao artifact. The Thunder Emperor shows his divinity and slays the demons. Fong Qingxue muttered to herself and performed many hand seals. In an instant, the arrays on the Thunder Emperor's decree were activated one after another. In the blink of an eye, an illusory figure appeared on it. It had a phoenix mouth and silver teeth, a vermilion blue body, 2 wings that were spitting fire, and a head under each armpit. Flames shot out from its eyes, burning the surroundings. It was surrounded by lightning like a dragon or a snake, and the power of destruction raged. It was the Thunder Emperor's avatar. Then, the Thunder Emperor picked up the Thunder God's chisel and hit it hard. Kacha! A bolt of lightning struck the demon god's avatar. It was noble and majestic. There were dense ancient runes on it. Each of them was the size of a fist. They were deep and simple, and they talked about rewarding the good and punishing the evil, slaying the demons. At this moment, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. The black and oppressive power filled the entire world with a destructive aura. Oh no! When the inextinguishable lightning appeared, the demon god's avatar's heart skipped a beat. It was a Tao artifact, a peerless Tao artifact. It should have been happy. In the past, not to mention peerless Tao artifacts, it was rare to see even a low-grade Tao artifact. He did not expect to see 2 of them. However, he could not feel happy at all. That was because these two peerless Tao artifacts were fatal to him. As expected, in a breath's time, a bolt of lightning flashed. This was the last light he saw in this world. He was already struggling to deal with Fang Qingshan's sword light, but Fang Qingshue's lightning was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Crack! A deep bloody mark appeared on the demon god's avatar's forehead. After a long time, there was a crack on the demon god's altar, and the demon god's avatar disappeared. Chapter 113. Phew! Seeing that the demon god altar was completely destroyed, both Fang Qingshan and Fang Qingxue heaved a long sigh of relief. After all, this was the clone of someone from the longevity mystic realm. It gave them too much pressure. Didn't Fang Qingxue run away in a hurry after exchanging 2 blows? Unfortunately, even a lion would use its full strength to hunt a rabbit. He had been too careless. The demon god's clone didn't expect that someone would actually dare to provoke him. Fang Qingshan caught him off guard and sent him to the edge of the cliff. Fang Qingxue seized the opportunity to push him into the bottomless abyss. As the demonic god's clone was killed, Fang Qingshan's entire body felt refreshed. The celestial chessboard in his consciousness even let out a pleasant jingle. The purple clouds were enshrouded, and the 3 worlds of eternity, Heavenly Dragon and Mount Shu, shone brightly. Back then, Fang Qingshan used the celestial dragon chess piece to kill Wang Molan, Jin Ritai's clone, and many Yixas. He killed them and stole their fate. Using the fate in the celestial dragon realm, he opened the Mount Shu realm. This time, it was the clone of the longevity mystic realm. The demon god status was not something that Jin Ritai and the others could compare to. Although the fate that Fang Qingshan had obtained had not opened the Mount Shu realm directly, it was almost completely lit up. How could Fang Qingshan not be happy that he had taken revenge and obtained such benefits? However, he remembered that this was the underground world, the territory of the demons. Although the demon god's altar was destroyed, they had caused quite a commotion. Who knew if there were any old demons nearby? A wise man would not stand under a collapsing wall. Therefore, Fang Qingshan quickly said to Fang Qingxue, "Big sister, we can't stay in this dangerous place for long. Let's leave this place first." Fang Qingxue naturally had no objections to this. If not for Fang Qingshan, if not for the hope of killing the demon god's clone, Fang Qingxue would have fled with Fang Han. Because Fang Qingxue was injured, Fang Qingshan wrapped Fang Han with the 5 clouds peach blossom miasma. The 3 of them did not stop for a moment and rushed toward the exit of the underground world. At the same time, in an unknown space-time, a man similar to the demon god's doppelganger, but more majestic, was sitting cross-legged in front of a large formation. From time to time, he would cast a spell towards the formation. Within the formation, one could faintly see a female demon god with a chill that could seal the world, desperately resisting the demon god's refinement. At a certain moment, the Yao god, who had reached a critical juncture in the refinement process, suddenly paled and spat out a mouthful of blood. The array that had been suppressing the demon god began to wobble. "Ah, demon god, you want to refine me? Looks like the heavens won't allow it. Ha ha ha." At this moment, the struggling demon god saw his chance and struck with all his might. The entire formation boomed, and the sounds of decadence that invaded one's mind drove straight into their minds. Waves of terrifying energy fluctuations that could be seen with the naked eye were casually fluctuating. The coldness that could freeze the world was mixed with traces of domineering and majestic black ice. Umph! The demon god snorted and endured his injuries. His hands danced in the air like a 1,000-armed bodhisattva, casting thousands of spells on the formation. The formation that was on the verge of collapse suddenly became impregnable. Will of the heavens? My will is the will of the heavens. Is that so? Then let's see who's the one who can't hold on in the end. Hearing this, the female demon god in the array smiled nonchalantly. But the demon god's face immediately darkened. These 2 people were the demon god's sex demon god and one of the strongest demon gods in the extraterritorial starry sky, the Nine-Yin demon. Both were experts of the longevity mystic realm. Although the Nine demon was captured by the demon god and wanted to refine him to improve his cultivation base, the longevity mystic realm was not an easy target. Those who could cultivate to the longevity mystic realm were not easy to deal with. Although the Nine demon was captured and suppressed by the demon god, it was impossible for him to refine him in a short period of time. He wanted to, but he did not have the strength. Now that his clone was destroyed, his main body was implicated, which made things worse. If he continued to suppress the Nine demon, the demon god would not be able to recover from his injuries. If he wanted to recover from his injuries, he would inevitably neglect the suppression of the Nine demon. Obviously, this would give her a chance to escape, and all his previous efforts would be in vain. His injuries could not be ignored, but the Nine demon and the demon god did not want to give up, so they were in an awkward situation. This was why the Nine demon said that they would see who could outlast the other. Damn it! The demon god's face was gloomy. The hatred in his heart for Fang Qingxue and Fang Qingshan could not be washed away. He was a dignified demon god, an expert of the longevity mystic realm, and his clone was killed by two juniors who had not even reached the celestial realm. This was a great loss of face. Now, it caused the Nine demon that he had been so painstakingly suppressing to be unable to be suppressed. This was his hope to improve his cultivation base. Sometimes, face was very important to some people. Obstructing one's path was an irreconcilable enmity. Therefore, how was the demon god feeling at this moment? Ascension sect, Fang Qingxue, and that brat, I will remember all of you, the demon god said word by word through gritted teeth. Ascension sect, Fang Qingxue. In the formation, the Nine demon's eyes flashed when he heard this. Looks like you've been tricked by the immortal sect, demon god. The Nine demon rolled his eyes. Why don't we join forces? Join forces? You're just my prisoner now. What right do you have to join forces with me? The demon god sneered. Is that so? The Nine demon did not deny it. He said indifferently, in your current state, if you really want to waste time with me, the final result will be no more than a lose-lose situation. Will you let go of the Ascension sect? You want to refine me because you want to improve your cultivation base, but you don't have to refine me to improve your cultivation base. The Nine demon continued, without waiting for the demon god to refute. What do you mean? The demon god frowned. It's simple. Instead of a lose-lose situation and letting the righteous faction fellows benefit, why don't we join forces? The Nine demon said seriously. Fang Qingxue and Ying Tianqing used each other's experience to improve their cultivation base. We can follow suit. The demon god was a little moved when he heard this, but he was still a little unwilling. After all, the Nine demon was originally his prisoner, but now he wanted to be on equal footing with him. Anyway, your cultivation base can improve greatly. In the future, you'll have one more ally to deal with the Ascension sect. Why not? The Nine demon added fuel to the fire when he saw the conflicted demon god. But how can I believe it? The demon god wavered. I can swear the Hongjun Tiandao oath. The Nine demon's eyes lit up when he heard this. Good. Chapter 114. The blazing sun hung high above the ground. After leaving the underground world and staying far away from the exit, a bolt of purple lightning and a rainbow landed, revealing three figures. They were Fang Qingshan, Fang Qingxue, and Fang Han. As soon as they landed, Fang Qingxue staggered. Fang Qingshan hurried forward to support her and asked worriedly, "Big sis, are you all right?" Fang Qingxue took a deep breath and shook her head. "I'm fine. I was just hit by the demon god's palm of heavenly demon, and my magic power was scattered. Then, I forcefully summoned the inextinguishable lightning, so I'm a little exhausted." "I did not expect you to break through to the divinity stage so quickly, third brother. Not to mention, you actually possess a peerless Grey Dao artifact that is in no way weaker than my inextinguishable lightning." Fang Qingxue cast a surprised look at Fang Qingshan. "By the way, why were you in the underground world and dared to hide in the dark to ambush the demon god's clone?" It's like this. Hearing this, Fang Qingshan told him everything about how Jin Ritai lured him out and then colluded with Wang Molan to ambush Fang Qingxue. When talking about the golden elixir of 9 orifices in the underworld WRM diagram, Fang Qingshan looked at Fang Han with a faint smile but did not point it out. He continued, "That time, I was almost captured by the demon god. Now that my cultivation has improved greatly, although it is still not comparable to him, revenge will not wait overnight. So, I hid underground and waited for the right time." Phew! Seeing that Fang Qingshan did not point it out, Fang Han could not help but let out a long sigh of relief. "So that's how it is?" Fang Qingxue nodded. Then, with a murderous look in her eyes, she said, "What a good Jin Ritai. I haven't even settled the score with him for what happened in front of the mountain gate, but he actually dared to plot against you. It seems that after becoming a successor disciple, I've been too low-key. I can't believe any Tom, Dick, or Harry would dare to step on me." "Big sister, you don't have to be so proud of yourself," Fang Qingshan said lightly. "There will be plenty of opportunities to deal with him." Fang Qingxue agreed with Fang Qingshan's words very much. If it weren't for the fact that he had a pill chamber elder father, he wouldn't even be able to break through to the divinity realm without the yin-yang longevity pill, much less cause trouble for them. Yet, he actually dared to covet the flesh of a swan. He was simply courting death. You, on the other hand, are quite daring. Fang Qingxue smiled. "I'm already at the 4th tier of Transcendent Secret Realm, and I only wanted to test out the prowess of a longevity secret realm expert to accumulate resources for me to break through to the celestial being realm. You, on the other hand, actually had the mentality of killing them. If it weren't for me today, I'm afraid you'd be in danger. Don't do something like this in the future." Hey, big sister's right." Fang Qingshan didn't refute and agreed with a smile. "All right," Fang Qingxue sternly said, "I don't care where you got that sword that's comparable to a peerless Grey Dao artifact. You can't use it unless you have no other choice, understand? A man's wealth is his own ruin." Fang Qingxue had long obtained the ancient Thunder Emperor's talisman, a peerless Grey Dao artifact, inextinguishable lightning, but she had never used it in front of others. The Fang clan might have only obtained the golden elixir of 9 orifices and the underworld flood dragon diagram, but they had already been targeted by those with ulterior motives. If people were to know that Fang Qingshan had a sword that was no weaker than a peerless Grey Dao artifact, many people would probably rush to get it. Although he didn't have the underworld diagram, and it was related to the underworld emperor's treasury, it was a killing weapon. In terms of attack, it wasn't something the underworld diagram could compare to. "Got it," Fang Qingshan also sternly said. He had originally planned to successfully refine the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma and use it as his daily weapon. He wouldn't use the refined demon flying sword unless he was in danger. Since that's the case, let's return to the emergence sect first. It just so happens that you've broken through to the transcendent secret realm, so you can apply to be promoted to a true disciple. Fang Qingxue said. "All right." Fang Qingshan nodded. After resting for a while, Fang Qingshan prepared to use the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma to bring Fang Qingxue and Fang Han back. Just at this moment, in the distant sky, a green flame dragged a long tail as it flew over. In an instant, it stopped in midair, revealing a young man in dark green clothes. Coincidentally, it was the true disciple of Bayan Peak, Jin Shirtai. Fang Qingxue, Fang Qingshan, Fang Han? Jin Shirtai looked at the 3 people in front of him. He was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed. "I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, but by chance I've found them by chance." Especially when he saw that Fang Qingxue had her eyes closed and was silent. Her face was pale, and her white clothes were stained with peach blossoms of blood. He was overjoyed. "Come over here." Jin Shirtai stretched out his hand. His mana gathered into a large dark green hand, grabbing at Fang Qingshan, Fang Qingxue, and Fang Han. Fang Qingshan took a step forward, arriving in front of Fang Qingxue, and threw a punch at her. Bang! With a loud bang, the hand that Jin Shirtai had gathered as mana was smashed into pieces by Fang Qingshan's punch. "Mana? Impossible! You've broken through to the secret realm. Seeing Fong Qingshan's performance, Jin Shirtai was stunned at first, his face full of disbelief. Then his handsome face twisted. "Looks like I can't let you live." Jin Shirtai was considered a genius, but if not for the yin-yang longevity pill that his father had painstakingly obtained, who knew how long it would take for him to break through to the secret realm. As for the Fong family, there was Fong Qingxue first, and Fong Qingshan now, but they had all broken through so easily. How could he not be displeased? "Jin Shirtai, how dare you? Are you going to betray the immortal Tao and join a demonic cult?" Seeing the cold, killing intent in Jin Shirtai's eyes, Fong Qingshan could not help but narrow his eyes. Betray the immortal Tao and join a demonic cult? Hearing this, Jin Shirtai raised a finger and shook his head. "It's not that serious. You two are merely outer disciples. So what if I kill you?" Just like before, Fong Qingxue killed 7 or 8 outer disciples at the mountain gate, and nothing happened to her. Hearing Jin Shirtai's words, Fong Qingshan remembered that although he had broken through to the secret realm, he had not been recognized by the emergent sect and had not been promoted to a true disciple. "Die!" Jin Shirtai waved his hands. Suddenly, 7 dark green flames shot out like sword chi. The flames tore through the air, letting out a long rumble. This was the green flame, 7 divine light. It was one of the emergent sect's 8 great divine powers. It was on par with the purple lightning thunderblade. One was fire, the other was electricity. Each had its own strengths. Damn it! Seeing this, Fong Qingshan could not help but curse in his heart. He did not have any divine powers or powerful magical treasures. With a wave of his hand, he opened the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma and protected Fong Qingxue and Fong Han. As for himself, he activated his magic power and revealed the golden body of the dragon and elephant. He transformed into a Vajra Arhut with the 8-division spiritual dragons coiled around him. He raised his fist and punched at the incoming sword chi. Chapter 115. In fact, it was very simple for Fong Qingshan to defeat or even kill Metalstone Platform. All he had to do was conjure the pure yang flying sword and finish him off. However, things were not that simple. As Jin Shirtai said, he was a true disciple. The sect would not punish him severely if he killed a few outer sect disciples. At most, he would be reprimanded. However, if Fong Qingshan killed Jin Shirtai, he would be in big trouble. Although he had broken through to the divine ability secret realm and was a quasi-true disciple, he was still not one. If he killed a true disciple as an outer sect disciple, no matter what the reason was, it would cause an uproar. Therefore, Fong Qingshan resisted the killing intent of taking out the pure yang flying sword. He used brute force to deal with Jin Shirtai's divine ability. Haha, let's see how long you can last. Seeing Fong Qingshan using brute force to deal with his divine ability, Jin Shirtai seemed to have seen the funniest joke in the world. Bang, 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 bang. Fong Qingshan's fist was like a hammer as it collided with Jin Shirtai's green flame 7 cultivators of true virtue. It immediately let out a loud sound. The shock caused Fong Qingshan's chi and blood to churn, but he had no choice. With each collision, Fong Qingshan took a step back and the golden light on his body dimmed. What should I do? Do I really have to take out the pure yang flying sword? Fong Qingshan could not help but frown. He had never been so eager to go into seclusion to cultivate his divine ability and refine his magic treasure. Indeed, the thing that Fong Qingshan was worried about had finally happened. Facing someone with a higher cultivation than him, or someone who didn't cultivate any supernatural powers, he could still use force to suppress them. But now, he could only rely on his magic power to fight. The feeling of being suppressed by others was not pleasant at all. Fong Qingshan was not the only one thinking about this. Fong Han was also watching with a serious expression. At this moment, they were in the same boat. If Fong Qingshan could not hold on, he would also be in trouble. "Yin, do you have a way?" Fong Han asked the artifact spirit of the underworld painting. "No," Yin said straightforwardly. "It's very easy to kill this brat. However, it will be very troublesome after killing him. Moreover, if we fail to kill him and expose the Tao artifact, it will similarly lead to endless troubles. So, didn't you see that Fang Qingshan didn't take out his Tao weapon? Then what should we do? I can't beat him, but I can't kill him either. Fang Han was a little depressed. Wait, Yin said indifferently. Now, we can only wait for Fang Qingxue to expel the demonic aura. Then, everything will be resolved. Damn it, Fang Han was depressed, not to mention Fang Qingshan. Fang Qingshan thought through everything he had and realized that the only thing he could use now was the myriad golden spider web. However, it was troublesome to use the myriad spider golden silk net to trap the golden stone platform. This was because this object was somewhat different from the heavenly rooster of Yang Rope. It was best at collecting inner elixirs and quintessential essence. It also had the supreme ability to restrain poisonous insects and goo objects. It was not like the heavenly rooster of Yang Rope, which was like the immortal binding rope that could capture people. Who cares? I can only treat a dead horse as a living one. Just as Fang Qingshan was about to retreat to Fang Qingshue's side, he suddenly saw Fang Qingshan shake his hand and throw out a red and purple soft bag that looked like a fishnet. This object was about 10 feet wide and expanded in the wind. In a flash, it turned into a net that was about 10 feet wide. It was neither silk nor hemp, and it was sticky to the touch. The veins were thin and bright. Sniffing it, there was a strange fishy smell. Seeing that victory was in sight, the Golden Stone platform did not expect Fang Qingshan to create trouble for it. Just like the demon god's doppelganger, the Golden Stone platform did not expect Fang Qingshan to have such a trick up his sleeve. Moreover, it was an artifact that was not weaker than the heavenly rooster of Yang Rope. Without much time to think, the Golden Stone platform wanted to fly far away and into the sky to avoid the myriad spider golden silk net. But it was too late. Just as he moved, he was caught in the net. What was worse was that the fishy smell of the spider web entered his nose and the Golden Stone platform felt dizzy. In fact, this was not surprising. The golden spider fed on highly poisonous things like the 7 foul poisonous fruit, so it was not surprising that the silk he spat out contained a trace of poisonous gas. Damn it! Fortunately, this poison was just a side effect and was not strong. The Golden Stone platform recovered and used his spiritual energy to suppress it. Feeling that he was trapped by the myriad spider golden silk net, his first thought was to break out of the net. Therefore, the Golden Stone platform's hands moved. In an instant, 14 rays of green flames shot out like sword chi. The flames pierced through the air and let out a long rumbling sound. He wanted to use the Jade Flame's 7 cultivators of true virtue to cut open the myriad spider golden silk net. Unfortunately, although the idea was good, reality often turned out contrary to one's wishes. Although the myriad spider golden silk net was not a treasure used to trap people and take things, it was still an artifact. If the Golden Stone platform wanted to cut it open with a magical ability, he would not be able to do so in a short period of time. Moreover, the golden spider silk had a great advantage. It was very sturdy. Even the Yuanjiang Guangcheng golden ship that was attracted by the geocentric force could be pulled up by him. If it was not sturdy, how could he do it? Therefore, the Golden Stone platform was destined to be a tragedy. What a cycle! Seeing that the myriad spider golden silk net did not disappoint and trapped the Golden Stone platform, Fang Qingshan let out a sigh of relief and couldn't help but smile. With a big stride, he arrived in front of the Golden Stone platform. Without saying a word, he raised his fist and smashed down. Bang, 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 bang. That sound was like rolling thunder. Fang Qingshan, you have guts. You actually dare to offend your superior. Do you want to go to the Heaven's Punishment platform? This time, it was the Golden Stone platform's turn to shout in exasperation. Offend my superior? I have already broken through to the magical realm and am a true disciple. Even if I bully you, as long as I don't kill you, what do you think the sect will do? Fang Qingshan laughed heartily, but his hands did not stop moving. Who asked you to bully me with your magical ability? Who asked you to trick me out and use me as bait? Who asked you? a true disciple of the emergent sect, to collude with demons. Who asked you? The more Fang Qingshan hit, the happier he became. Although the golden stone platform was not in mortal danger, he could not take it anymore. He stared fiercely at Fang Qingshan. If you have the ability, then kill me. Otherwise, we will fight to the death. After listening to the words of the golden stone platform and seeing his ferocious eyes, Fang Qingshan's killing intent rose in his heart, but he suppressed it. It was not worth it to put himself in a disadvantageous position for the sake of a trash like the golden stone platform. Not to mention how to explain to the sect if he killed the golden stone platform. Fang Qingshan understood that there seemed to be a true disciple here who was hiding in the dark. Even if he wanted to kill him, he might not be able to. Instead, he would give others a handle. Chapter 116. Stop! At that moment, a thunderous voice exploded in Fang Qingshan's ears, causing him to feel dizzy for a moment. Following that, an extremely dazzling golden light tore the clouds in the sky in half. Swoosh! The golden light dissipated, revealing a young Taoist in golden clothes with golden eyelids. He looked at Fang Qingshan with a pair of emotionless eyes. I am Shi Longzi, a pro-disciple of Shi Longfeng. Who are you? The person first identified himself and then asked. Senior Brother Shi, this person is an outer sect disciple. He used a magical weapon to offend his superiors. You must not let him go. Before Fang Qingshan could speak, Jin Shidai spoke first. An outer sect disciple? Shi Longzi saw the fluctuation of magical power on Fang Qingshan and thought he was a pro-disciple. At that moment, when he heard Jin Shidai's words, his originally ugly face suddenly turned gloomy. How dare you to offend your superiors? Using a magical weapon, you dare to bully a pro-disciple. In the long run, our emergent sect will be in chaos. Kneel down and tie your arms. I will bring you to the Heaven's Punishment Platform and let Elder Heaven's Punishment Platform punish you. Shi Longzi said indifferently, as if it was a matter of course, and he was magnanimous and merciful. Kneel down and tie your arms. Fang Qingshan was so angry that he laughed. You don't know right from wrong, and you don't know right from wrong. You still act high and mighty. Who do you think you are? Hearing Fang Qingshan's words, Shi Longzi's eyes suddenly flashed a trace of cold light. It seems that you have fallen into the demonic path. I have no choice but to take you down personally. Is that so? If you have the ability, just do it. Fang Qingshan sneered. Although Shi Longzi was powerful, he was a true pro-disciple. He was not someone that Jin Shidai, who relied on elixirs to break through, could be compared to. However, Fang Qingshan was not afraid at all. At most, he would expose the demon-refined flying sword. Although this would bring him some unnecessary trouble, it was not a big deal. But Fang Qingshan couldn't care less. First, it was the golden stone platform, then the stone dragon. It wasn't like he didn't have a way to deal with them. He would just have to pay a price, but it was still within his acceptable range. If Shi Longzi dared to attack him, he would let him know why the flowers were red. Brother Shi, did you see that? Fang Qingshan treats you like this. If we don't teach this kind of person a lesson, the prestige of our emergent sect will soon be destroyed by them. Jin Shidai did not expect that Fang Qingshan would dare to talk back to Shi Longzi. He was overjoyed and quickly fanned the flames. Very good. Looks like breaking through the transcendent secret realm and defeating Junior Brother Jin has given you a lot of courage. Shi Longzi said unhurriedly. Unfortunately, you're still a frog at the bottom of a well. You're so full of yourself that you haven't even cultivated any magical powers. You think you can do whatever you want just by relying on a magical weapon. In the future, when you encounter demons, you'll definitely suffer. Today, I'll teach you a lesson so that it's not too late to regret it. As he spoke, Stone Dragon pointed at the distance. A golden light flashed from his hand. Not good. Fang Qingshan naturally recognized that Shi Longzi was displaying one of the emergent sect's special magical powers, the Great Freedom Dark Gold Sword Qi. The matter in the oceanic desert this time Wasn't it because there were materials related to the cultivation of the carefree dark gold sword chi here that the Ascension sect went to war? This mystique allowed one to cultivate sword chi to protect themselves, allowing them to roam freely between heaven and earth. As the unfettered sword immortal, he did not need to use any dermic artifacts. With just a casual point of his finger, sword chi would burst forth, surpassing any flying sword. It was even above prized artifact grade flying swords. With a thought, Fang Qingshan was about to take out the pure yang flying sword. Just at this moment, a huge skeletal hand stretched across the sky. The gang chi between the 5 fingers was white and bright, as though the white bones had melted into air currents. As the air currents rolled, there was a creaking sound similar to that of bones. He grabbed Shalongzi's great freedom dark gold sword chi in his hand and squeezed it gently. The dark gold sword chi kept shrinking as though it was about to be collected. Kane white bone mystique. Shalongzi was shocked at first, then he was enraged. How dare you? As soon as he finished speaking, the dark gold sword chi that he grabbed suddenly shook violently. In the midst of the shaking, it suddenly disappeared as though it had teleported. When it appeared again, it was at the place where the palm appeared. Instant kill technique. Interesting. The person who helped Fang Qingshan did not have the slightest surprise, nor did he panic. He pointed at the center of his eyebrows lightly. Boom! However, in an unknown acupoint at the back of his head, a fist-sized bone pellet suddenly rose, emitting boundless brilliance. The sword chi shot out by the instant kill technique slashed fiercely on the pellet and was directly swallowed. Like a clay ox entering the sea, it disappeared without a trace. Then, in the sky, 20 long white rainbows pierced through the north and south. Auspicious chi fell one after another, and a man stepped on the white rainbows, walking down step by step in the auspicious chi. Humph, pretending to be mysterious. Ing Tianqing, no matter how you change, no matter how solemn you look, you can't change the fact that you are an evil demon. Shalongzi smiled coldly, and then his face turned serious. He looked at the bone pellet on top of Ing Tianqing's head and said solemnly, White bone relic. Ing Tianqing, I didn't attack Fang Qingxue. You're stretching your hand too far. Do you want to interfere in the affairs of my emergent sect? Shalongzi said with a gloomy face. I don't care about the affairs of your emergent sect, but you can't touch him. Ing Tianqing pointed at Fang Qingshan and said lightly, He is Qing Shue's brother. If I let you bully him in front of me, how can I explain it to Qing Shue in the future? You attacked him once, and I'll attack you back. Ing Tianqing said it lightly, but Shalongzi's face changed when he heard it. Originally, he was very confident. However, when he saw that his instant kill technique could not do anything to Ing Tianqing, and with the white bone relic on top of his head, Shalongzi knew that he was doomed today. Without thinking, a golden light flashed. Shalongzi did not even care about the metal and stone platform. He turned around and ran like a sword. In the blink of an eye, he seemed to have disappeared into the sky. Run? Do you think you can run? Ing Tianqing sneered. He pointed from afar, and the white bone relic on top of his head soared into the sky. It turned into the night of 100 ghosts and caught up with Shalongzi in a few leaps. There was a ripping sound, accompanied by Shalongzi's shrill scream. The white bone relic returned with 2 bloody arms. It chewed and swallowed them in the blink of an eye. Fang Qingshan saw this and could not help but frown. Although he was an enemy of Shalongzi and even wanted to teach him a lesson, he could not accept that Ing Tianqing's white bone relic was eating human flesh. Chapter 117. Not bad. You didn't embarrass Qing Shue. After driving Shalongzi away, Ing Tianqing ignored Jin Shitai. Jin Shitai didn't dare to shout anymore, fearing that Ing Tianqing would kill him. Unfortunately, you're still lacking. Ing Tianqing first praised Fang Qingshan, then shook his head. It's fine if you don't have divine powers, but you don't even have a decent Dharma treasure. Forget it. For Qing Shue's sake, I'll teach you a few of my devil doctrine's divine powers. Ing Tianqing tossed out another Dharma treasure as if he was giving alms. The dazzling array of Dharma treasures shot into the sky. The weakest was an ultimate spiritual weapon. Most of them were middle and lower treasures, and there were many upper treasures, and even one ultimate treasures. He was indeed the son of the devil overlord enchantment, a standard second-generation immortal. Here are some Dharma treasures. Pick two, lest you embarrass Qing Shui when you go out in the future. Seeing Ying Tianqing's self-righteous look, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but chuckle. Devil doctrines, divine powers? What could Ying Tianqing take out? At most, it would be the omniscient nature that Fang Qingshui used. And Fang Qingshan didn't need to mention the Sand Fusion Wondrous Book and the pure Yang Sword Manual that he got from Shu Mountain. Did the Emergence sect lack divine powers? Moreover, Fang Han still owed him 10 of the 3,000 great divine abilities. Any one of those great divine abilities was probably even more powerful than the great divine abilities he had given him. As for Dharma treasures, it wasn't that he lacked them, but that he didn't want to expose them. Not to mention the 5-cloud peach flower miasma that he had successfully refined. Just the 2 pure yang flying sword alone were something that even Ying Tianqing, the son of Ying Xiantian, couldn't compare to. How dare he speak to him in a tone of charity? Fang Qingshan didn't know where he got his courage from. What do you mean? Ying Tianqing looked at Fang Qingshan's fake smile and was instantly displeased. He had kindly given out divine powers and Dharma treasures. If it weren't for Qing Shui, he wouldn't have done this. But now, what was Fang Qingshan doing? It was as if he was looking down on her. Nothing much. It's just that I appreciate the demon commander's good intentions. Fang Qingshan said lightly. It's not that I don't have any magic powers. It's just that I've only just broken through and haven't had the time to cultivate them. It's also not that I don't have magic treasures. This golden myriad spider's web aside, this 5-cloud peach flower miasma is in no way inferior to a peerless prized artifact. It's just that I have yet to successfully refine it. Today, I still have to thank the demon commander for your kind intentions. Although I don't need it, it has saved me a lot of trouble. Fang Qingshan said unhurriedly. However, in the end, there are differences between us immortals and demons. You go your own way, and I'll go mine. Let's bid our farewells here today. With that, Fang Qingshan ignored Ying Tianqing's reaction. He turned around and prepared to leave with Fang Han and Fang Qingshui with the Golden Stone platform. Ying Tianqing didn't think that Fang Qingshan would be even more stubborn than Fang Qingshui. His expression flickered with uncertainty. However, after some thought, he still said, I'll send you on your way. If there are any accidents along the way. No need. At that moment, Fang Qingshui, who had been recuperating with her eyes closed, opened her eyes and stood up. Third brother's right. You and I are immortals and demons. It's better not to get involved with each other. After all, the war between immortals and demons has begun again. Qingshui, you know that I don't care about these things. Seeing Fang Qingshui, Ying Tianqing seemed to have changed into a different person. From a cold prince, he became an infatuated seed. You don't care? Then how about you betray my emergent sect? Fang Qingshan suddenly interrupted. This, Ying Tianqing choked for a moment. Seeing this, Fang Qingshui couldn't help but look at Fang Qingshan with admiration. Back then, the two of us met in the Great Northern Sea. We were besieged by the water, goo heavenly demon. You and I had no choice but to exchange Dao techniques. The immortal and demon united, killed the water, goo heavenly demon, and broke its maze. This was something that benefited both sides. We don't owe each other anything, so let's not be too entangled in the future. After a pause, Fang Qingshui continued, As for your help just now, although I'm very grateful for your kindness, as third brother said, it's not necessary. You don't know, right? We just came out of the underground world, and the demon god's doppelganger has been killed by the two of us. I know. Even my father is afraid of the demon god. So when I heard that you were going to fight him, I chased after him. Ying Tianqing looked at Fang Qingshui affectionately at first, but when he saw Fang Qingshui looking at him expressionlessly, he was stunned for a moment. Then he reacted and was immediately shocked. You killed the demon god's doppelganger? Is this something you can lie about? Fang Qingxue replied indifferently. So, actually, we don't need your kindness. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow. We'll take our leave now. Leaving Ying Tianqing with a look of disbelief, Fang Qingxue moved her feet, and two purple lightning dragons wrapped around Fang Qingshan, Fang Han, and the golden stone platform. In an instant, they pierced through the sky and headed for the emergent sect. You actually killed the demon god's doppelganger? How is this possible? Just like Ying Tianqing, the golden stone platform was dumbfounded when he heard the news. This time, he suffered a great loss in the hands of Fang Qingshan. He was thinking of returning to the emergent sect to complain to his father and take revenge. Who knew that he would hear such sensational news? Although he was very unwilling to believe the authenticity of this news, he knew that Fang Qingxue would not lie about this matter, because there was no need, and it would be easily exposed. If it was the truth, then the grievances he had suffered this time would have been in vain. Not only him, but Shilongzi would also suffer the same fate. In an instant, the golden stone platform seemed to have lost his spirit. He was shocked. They could kill the demon god together. Although it was only a doppelganger, perhaps even his father did not have this ability. If he continued to be entangled, he was afraid that it would eventually lead to a fatal disaster. Third brother, what are your plans this time? Fang Qingxue asked Fang Qingshan. What else can I do? First, I will become a true disciple. Then I will cultivate in seclusion. I will never come out if I don't successfully cultivate a few magical powers and successfully practice the 5 cloud peach blossom miasma. Fang Qingshan said. Yes. Fang Qingxue nodded and said to Fang Han, what about you? First become an inner disciple, then find a way to break through the secret realm. Fang Han said, very well, if you become a true disciple, I will marry Qingwei. Fang Qingxue was about to promise Fang Qingshan, but she was interrupted by Fang Qingshan. Big sister, I think we should let nature take its course. A melon that is forcibly picked will not be sweet. Fang Qingshan knew that it was a good marriage for Fang Qingwei to marry Fang Han, but he felt that this matter should be decided by Fang Qingwei. Even if Fang Qingwei did not achieve much in the future, with him and Fang Qingxue around, who would dare to bully her? Chapter 118. With Fang Qingxue's speed, the mountain gate of emergent sect was soon in sight. At this point, the three of them had to go their separate ways. Fang Qingxue brought Fang Qingshan straight to the core of emergent sect, the emergence heavenly palace. Fang Han, on the other hand, brought Azura's bone spur to the inner immortal courtyard to fight for a place for the inner disciple assessment. The emergence heavenly palace was the core of the emergent sect. It was a huge palace. In terms of power, it was at least a peerless gray Dao artifact. Moreover, it was not a Dao artifact like Fang Qingxue's inextinguishable lightning or Fang Han's underworld painting that was no longer in peak condition. The emergence heavenly palace floated above the clouds in the depths of the emergence mountain range. It was half hidden like a heavenly court. It was a city in the clouds, the residence of immortals. Looking down from the emergence heavenly palace, the entire emergence mountain range and the big city in the central plain could be seen clearly. It was 1,000 miles away, high above, ruling the earth. Looking up, there were palaces everywhere, rising layer by layer, like the Holy Emperor's obelisk. Fang Qingxue was a true inheritor disciple, so she was naturally familiar with this place. She knew the way, so she brought Fang Qingshan to a stop in front of a palace. The name of this palace was the Palace of Inheritance. Just like the immortal stepping courtyard for the outer disciple assessment and the inner immortal courtyard for the inner disciple assessment, the Palace of Inheritance, as the name suggested, was the place for the true disciple assessment. Who is this? The arrival of Fang Qingxue and Fang Qingshan could not be hidden from the elders of the Palace of Inheritance. Fang Qingxue was not a stranger to everyone, but Fang Qingshan had no impression of her. With the cultivation base of these elders, their memory could be said to be extraordinary. As long as they saw it once, they would not forget it. However, within the inner sect, there was almost no one who could relate to Fang Qingshan. And now, Fang Qingshan had actually made a breakthrough in his mystic art. Who cares who he is? Since Fang Qingxue brought him here, let's call him in and ask him. One of the elders said casually, Disciple Fang Qingxue brought my brother Fang Qingshan to take the test to become a true disciple. Elder, please grant us an audience. Before the people inside could speak, Fang Qingxue announced, it's actually her younger brother. Interesting. One of the elders, who had a scholarly aura, smiled and said in a clear voice, In that case, come in. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a loud rumble, and the doors of the palace of direct inheritance opened. Fang Qingshan followed Fang Qingxue into the palace of direct teachings. The first thing that came into view was a young man with a head full of black hair and a pale, beardless face. The young man gave off an extremely cold aura, and a single glance from his eyes would cause people to shiver. Greetings, Elder Tian Xing. Greetings, Elder Chuangong. Greetings, elders. Although Fang Qingxue was a true disciple, and not an ordinary one at that, she did not dare to be careless in front of the two elders. She bowed respectfully. As for the others, they cupped their fists expressionlessly. Elder Tian Xing and the Elder of Techniques imparting nodded their heads. The other elders stood up and bowed in return. The reason for such a difference actually had to be explained from the structure of the emergent sect. The emergent sect was divided into outer sect disciples, inner sect disciples, true disciples, elders, vice sect leader, and supreme elder. Among the elders, one could become an elder after cultivating to the 5th level of the transcendent being realm. However, if their potential was not exhausted, very few true disciples would be willing to become such an elder. This was because it was fine for ordinary true disciples, but for true disciples like Fang Qingxue, these elders were simply decorations. And these ordinary elders were generally known as half-elders. Compared to half-elders, there were elders like Jean Shurtai's father, Jean Riley, who held real power. Although in terms of potential, they could not compare to top true disciples like Jiao Lan and Ling Xiao, but generally speaking, at least in terms of face, they were still passable. Above them were elders like Tian Xing and Chuangong. Their cultivation had broken through the transcendent mystic realm and reached the longevity mystic realm. Not to mention in the emergent sect, even in the entire world, they were existences of authority. Such elders were existences that could truly influence the situation. Disciple Fang Qingshan greets Elder Tian Xing, greets Elder Chuangong, greets all the elders. Fang Qingshan followed suit and bowed respectfully behind Fang Qingxue. Fang Qingxue, this time you brought your brother here. Is it to participate in the true disciple assessment? Elder Tian Xing stared at Fang Qingshan and asked without any emotion in his tone. Not to mention that Elder Tian Xing was in the longevity mystic realm. He was in charge of the Heaven's punishment platform all year round and had the power to kill the elders and true disciples in the sect. His killing intent was not something that anyone could withstand. If it was someone else, facing such a gaze, even if they had no ulterior motives, they would still be timid. However, Fang Qingshan had killed the demon god's avatar, experienced the pressure of the dragon elephant, and faced the existence of an earth immortal. In front of him, Elder Tian Xing's aura was like a cool breeze. He did not feel anything at all. Seeing this, everyone present was astonished. Yes, Elder Tian Xing. Fang Qingxue's tone was as cold as ever. What do you think? Elder Tian Xing turned his head and asked Elder Chuangong. You check first. I will also ask about the situation. Elder Chuangong said indifferently. A true disciple was the true foundation of a sect. Although Fang Qingshan was Fang Qingxue's blood brother, Elder Tian Xing and Elder Chuangong did not take him lightly. Elder Chuangong waved his hand and brought out the records of the emergent sect's disciples and began to check on Fang Qingshan's life. Elder Tian Xing's eyes were like lightning. His gaze landed on Fang Qingshan's body. Like a microscope, he seemed to be able to see through Fang Qingshan's flesh and blood, wanting to see through all the changes in his body. Skin, flesh, tendons, meridians, internal organs, spinal cord, and even brain and soul. Elder Tian Xing examined inch by inch as if he wanted to see through all of Fang Qingshan's secrets. Ah! Suddenly, Elder Tian Xing exclaimed as he discovered the two pure yang flying swords in Fang Qingshan's dantian. For a powerful longevity elder like Elder Tian Xing, a Dao artifact was precious, but that was all there was to it. However, for an ordinary disciple in the secret realm to possess a Dao artifact, and a high-grade one at that, comparable to a peerless grade one at that, he could not help but be surprised. Fortunately, although Elder Tian Xing had discovered the pure yang flying swords, Fang Qingshan did not hide it. It was necessary for him to display his potential and strength to the upper echelons. Of course, Fang Qingshan knew that Elder Tian Xing was not his enemy. What is it? Elder Tian Xing's strange behavior did not escape Elder Chuangong's notice. There is no problem. Elder Tian Xing did not tell Elder Chuangong what he saw. Oh, there's no problem on my side. Since Elder Tian Xing did not say anything, Elder Chuangong did not ask further. Chapter 119. In that case, according to the rules of our emergent sect, Fang Qingshan will be a true disciple of our emergent sect from today onwards. Elder Tianxing made the final decision. Once you become a true disciple of our emergent sect, the sect will pass on a magical power for free. The Elder of Cultivation Techniques said unhurriedly, "Our emergent sect has countless magical powers, but there are no more than 8 famous ones. The violet electric thunderblade that your sister Fang Qingxue cultivates is one of them. Choose one yourself." With that, the Elder of Cultivation Techniques waved his hand, and a jade archive was thrown in front of Fang Qingshan. Fang Qingshan quickly held it up with both hands and looked at it. The jade archive was like a sky full of stars, scattered with the names of countless magical powers. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. He was still worried that he would encounter the same problem as Fang Qingshan and be easily dealt with by the Elder of Cultivation Techniques with a small magical power. Fortunately, this did not happen. Although the magical powers of the emergent sect looked very good, they were obviously inferior to the 3,000 great magical powers. Not to mention, Fang Qingshan still had the Sand Sacred Book and the magical powers of the pure Yang Sword technique. However, no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. Naturally, he would not waste such a great opportunity. The reason why the Elder of Cultivation Techniques and the Elder of Cultivation Techniques used a small magical power to deal with Fang Han was because they found out that he had the diagram of the underworld and wanted to test him. The 8 most resplendent gems in the Jade Archive were the emergent sect's 8 fundamental techniques: Violet Lightning Blade, Boundless Dark Gold Sword Chi, Heavenly Chill Force, Dark Green 7 Cultivators Divine Light, Heavenly Wood Divine Needle, Myriad Water Divine Technique, Mountain Refining Dipper, and 9 Palaces Divine Manifestation Technique. Fang Qingshan looked at it and pondered for a moment before he made a decision. The reason why Fang Qingxue chose the Violet Electric Thunderblade was because she had the Inextinguishable Lightning, a peerless Dao tool. It complemented her cultivation and would yield twice the result with half the effort. As for Fang Qingshan, he had the 2 refined demon flying swords of Immortal Pure Yang and the sword technique. The most suitable one for him should be the Great Golden Sword Chi. This disciple will choose the Great Freedom Dark Gold Sword Chi. Having made up his mind, Fang Qingshan told the Elder of Technique Impartation. All right. When the Elder of Techniques Imparting heard this, he didn't say anything else. He pointed at the Jade Archive, and the star representing the Great Freedom Dark Gold Sword Chi flew out. It transformed into a talisman and imprinted itself between Fang Qingshan's brows. Buzz! In an instant, the method of cultivating the carefree, mysterious gold sword Chi was deeply engraved in Fang Qingshan's mind. All right, the divine ability has been imparted to you. True disciples, you can choose a mountain as your training ground. When the time comes, the sect will build a palace and other buildings for you. You can go now. After imparting the divine ability to Fong Qing Shan, the Elder of Techniques imparting waved his hand and retrieved the Jade Archive. Then, he waved his hand and dismissed Fong Qing Shan. Yes, disciple will take his leave. Fong Qing Shan and Fong Qing Xue cupped their hands and left. Next, you can stay at my Violet Lightning Mountain. It won't be too late to leave after the sect has built a mountain for you. Fong Qing Xue said to Fong Qing Shan after they left the Palace of Techniques. I still need to report to the sect leader about what happened this time. First, I need to show off my contribution. Second, I need to avoid Jin Shirtai and Shi Longzi from accusing us first and harming us. All right, Fong Qing Shan nodded. After parting ways with Fong Qing Xue, he flew straight to the Violet Lightning Mountain. Tian Xing, I saw something wrong with you earlier. What happened? After Fong Qing Shan and Fong Qing Xue left, the other elders naturally left as well. Only the Elder of Techniques, Imparting, and Tian Xing were left. The Elder of Techniques, Imparting, couldn't help but ask. This Fong Qing Shan isn't any worse than Fong Qing Xue. He has great potential and is a good seedling. Once he grows up, I'm afraid he won't lose out to the 5 great true disciples. Elder Tian Xing exclaimed. Oh, you think so highly of him? Hearing Elder Tian Xing's rare praise, the Elder of Techniques, Imparting, couldn't help but be surprised. His foundation is extremely sturdy. Even if Tian Do was at his level, it would be hard to say who is stronger and who is weaker. Tian Xing said. Also, guess what I just saw? How was that possible? Hearing Tian Xing say that Fong Qing Shan was actually not inferior to Hua Tiandu, who was in the same realm as him, the cultivation Imparting elder's first reaction was disbelief. However, he also knew that Tian Xing would not lie. This caused him to be even more shocked, and he subconsciously asked, what did you see? A Tao artifact, an existence comparable to a supreme gray Tao artifact. Tian Xing said, could it be the Yellow Springs diagram? The Elder of Techniques, Imparting's eyes flashed. Jin Shirtai and the others knew that the Yellow Springs Emperor's golden pill of 9 orifices and Yellow Springs diagram were in the hands of the Fong family. How could a powerhouse like the Elder of Techniques, Imparting, not know about it? He originally thought that such a good thing should be in the hands of Fong Qing Xue. After all, she was a dual cultivator. However, from Elder Tian Xing's words, it was actually in the hands of Fong Qing Shan. If that's the case, why would I be surprised? Elder Tian Xing shook his head. Other than the inextinguishable lightning and the Yellow Springs diagram, does the Fong family have a third supreme gray Tao artifact? The Elder of Techniques, Imparting's eyes widened. 3? He, right? Elder Tian Xing laughed. He didn't say yes or no. In the end, he hit it for Fong Qing Shan. From afar, 1,000 zhang tall mountain could be seen. There were green pines and cypresses everywhere, waterfalls and flowing springs. Palaces after palaces were erected on the waist of the mountain. At the peak of the mountain, there was a heavenly lake with rippling blue waves. Beside the heavenly lake, there was an even more luxurious palace. Immortal cranes, iron-winged rocks, golden-crowned eagles, white deer, and many others walked around. Ginseng, knotweed root, lingji, snow lotus, and many other spiritual herbs could be found everywhere. This was the ascension sect bestowed upon Fong Qing Xue, the Violet Lightning Mountain. Who is it? This is the mountain of the direct disciple, Miss Fong Qing Xue. Halt! Before Fong Qing Shan landed, he heard a shout. Fong Qing Shan looked down. It was Fong Man, Fong Rui, Fong Lai, and the others who followed Fong Qing Shan to the Ascension sect. Even I can't. Fong Qing Shan retracted the 5-cloud peach flower miasma and revealed himself. He glanced at them indifferently. Third young master. Greetings, third young master. I didn't know that third young master had arrived. Please forgive me for not welcoming you earlier. Fong Man, Fong Rui, and Fong Lai obviously didn't expect the person to be Fong Qing Shan. Since joining the Ascension sect, This was Fang Qingshan's first time coming to the Violet Lightning Mountain. Forget it. Let the manager of the Violet Lightning Mountain reply. Fang Qingshan waved his hand. He couldn't be bothered to talk to them. He headed straight for the Violet Lightning Palace. Greetings, third young master. Fang Chang had already come to welcome him in front of the Violet Lightning Palace. Prepare a secret room for me. I want to go into seclusion. Fang Qingshan didn't want to talk nonsense. He couldn't wait to go into seclusion to cultivate his mystiques and refine his magic treasures. He didn't want to face the situation where he only had magic power but couldn't unleash its power. He was suppressed and looked down upon by others. Chapter 120. Yes. Fang Chang didn't say much and brought Fang Qingshan to a secret room. This is where Miss usually secludes herself. Third young master, do you think it's okay? Okay. Fang Qingshan nodded. You can go now. Don't worry about anything else. With that said, Fang Qingshan couldn't wait to enter the secret room and close the door with a bang. He lit a column of incense in the incense burner. In an instant, smoke rose slowly and a refreshing fragrance spread, making people's hearts calm down involuntarily. Fang Qingshan sat cross-legged on the futon. He didn't immediately practice magical power or sacrificial magic weapon. Instead, he focused his mind on the heaven chessboard. At this moment, on the heaven chessboard, in addition to the 3 chess pieces of Immortal, Sky Dragon, and Shushan, another chess piece had been lit up. Previously, he killed the demon god's doppelganger and robbed it, which gave Fang Qingshan a lot of luck. Now, he finally returned to Emergent Sect and became a true disciple. The sect's luck was on him. Another huge amount of luck descended and finally lit up a new chess piece. I wonder which side this new world belongs to. Fang Qingshan thought. With a thought, Fang Qingshan's soul appeared on the celestial chessboard after a moment of dizziness. Ignoring the 3 chess pieces of Immortal, Sky Dragon, and Shushan, Fang Qingshan went straight to the newly activated world chess piece. When he touched it with his hand, it felt as warm as jade. At the same time, the name of this world also appeared in his mind. 3 Kingdoms. Seeing this name, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but frown, because the plane of 3 kingdoms was similar to Sky Dragon. At most, it was a little higher. It didn't help Fang Qingshan improve his cultivation. It seems that the opening of Shushan last time was an accident. Fang Qingshan muttered to himself. Originally, the opening of Shushan surprised Fang Qingshan a little, but he didn't think so much. But now, it seemed that things weren't that simple. The amount of luck needed to open each world should be different. The lower the level of the world, the easier it would be to open it, and the less luck it would cost. The higher the level of the world, the harder it would be to open it, and the more luck it would cost. For example, if you want to open the low martial arts world of Tianlong, it takes a lot of luck to open it. Then it takes at least 100 times more to open Shushan, a world that is comparable to or even more than the immortal world. The opening of Shushan was obviously a loophole or an accident. Therefore, the luck this time was only enough to open the 3 kingdoms world. However, what made Fang Qingshan curious was that activating the 3 kingdoms actually required more providence than the Sky Dragon. Could it be that Zhang Jiao's divine abilities were real? As he thought about it, Fang Qingshan guessed some clues. If there was any place in the world of the 3 kingdoms that was higher than the heavenly dragon, then this was the only place where divine abilities appeared. No matter what it is, we'll know when we see it in the future. The top priority should be to practice divine abilities and sacrificial refining magic weapons, so as not to be afraid of not being able to use them. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan did not immediately start practicing the Great Freedom Mysterious Gold Sword Qi, because if he practiced step by step, he didn't know how long it would take to practice it to the Great Accomplishment stage. If he drained a metal or vein to assist in his cultivation, not only would he get twice the result with half the effort, but he would also save a lot of time. Fang Qingshan first took out the 2 jade boxes containing the Heisha Wondrous Book and the Pure Yang Inheritance. Fang Qingshan's heart moved. The Pure Yang flying sword flew out, and gently touched the two jade boxes. Kacha! With a crisp paw sound, the jade cracked open. A rectangular jade appeared in the jade box, containing the Hisha wondrous book. It was 7 inches wide, an inch thick, and its entire body was smooth and shiny. And in the jade box containing the pure yang inheritance, a colorful light shone, and a stack of silk books appeared. On it were 2 alchemy books and 2 sword techniques. The alchemy books were salvation and separation, while the sword techniques were heavenly flight and pure yang. Just as Feng Qingshan broke the jade box, light shot up to the sky, and the various inheritances seemed to have a mind of their own and were about to fly away on their own. Fortunately, this was where Feng Qingxue usually cultivated in seclusion, and naturally there were many restrictive arrays. When these treasures flew out, they hit the restrictive arrays on the wall, and as for the treasure light, it was naturally covered. Seeing this, Feng Qingshan smiled slightly and reached out to grab the Hisha wondrous book and the alchemy book sword technique in his hands. The Hisha wondrous book was divided into 2 volumes. The first volume contained some secret techniques and talismans of various sects that Taoist Isha had collected over the years, and there were some fine ones among them. However, they were unorthodox techniques after all. Feng Qingshan did not even value the great freedom mysterious gold sword Qi of the emergent sect that much, so he naturally would not care about these unorthodox magical powers. After a brief look, he put it aside. The second volume recorded the understanding of successive heaven and earth 5 elements that Taoist Isha cultivated. This book was one of the few unorthodox techniques in Shushan that could compete with the top Tao techniques of the orthodox and demonic Tao techniques. Among them, the ultimate magical power, the great 5 elements divine light of annihilation, would definitely not be inferior to Feng Han's 5 Emperors canopy once successfully cultivated. It was just 1 attack and 1 defense. After putting down the Hisha wondrous book, Feng Qingshan picked up the sword technique. As for the alchemy book, he put it aside first. Lu Dongbin was known as the pure yang immortal, and one of the sword techniques was also named after pure yang, which showed how precious it was. The other sword technique was known as the sky escape. It was naturally unpredictable and was designed with extreme speed and even space in mind. Feng Qingshan thought about it and decided to cultivate the innate and acquired 5 elements true Qi first. Firstly, he had just broken through the magical power, so it was a good time to transform his magic power into the 5 elements magic power. This way, he could improve the quality of his magic power. Secondly, it was also a preparation for cultivating the great 5 elements technique in the future. As for why he did not cultivate the sword technique first, it was because Feng Qingshan did not have a decent flying sword at the moment. Even if he successfully cultivated the sword technique, without a suitable flying sword, the magical power would be greatly reduced. Before the magical secret realm and the yin-yang realm, be it magic power, true Qi, or gang Qi, it was actually just a process of accumulation. This was also why, when Feng Qingxue broke through the magical secret realm, she actually improved by leaps and bounds compared to the physical realm. For the first 3 realms, as long as you had the realm and enough resources, breaking through was just a matter of time. It had been a while since Feng Qingshan broke through the magical secret realm, and it was time for him to break through. Thinking about this, Feng Qingshan immersed his mind into the golden invitation of Hisha Wondrous Books, 2nd volume. The golden invitation was filled with ancient seal scripts and talismans, and Feng Qingshan did not recognize any of them. Fortunately, when Taoist Hisha left his legacy, he considered this point, so he used the golden invitation to carry it. As Feng Qingshan immersed his mind, the golden invitation suddenly shone brightly. One by one, the ancient seal scripts and talismans left the golden invitation and turned into a torrent that drilled into Feng Qingshan's forehead. Buzz! Feng Qingshan's body stiffened, and he hugged the golden invitation without moving. Chapter 121. At this moment, Fang Qingshan's sea of consciousness had undergone an earth-shattering change. A sage-like elder suddenly appeared in Fang Qingshan's sea of consciousness. At first, Fang Qingshan was shocked, thinking that he had fallen into a trap and was about to be possessed. However, the celestial chessboard did not react at all, and the Taoist who suddenly appeared had a pair of lifeless eyes. The Taoist was only instinctively narrating scriptures that could enlighten people. Fang Qingshan was relieved. He knew that this should be a high-level inheritance. He did not dare to be negligent. He quickly focused his mind and listened carefully, not daring to miss out on any information. With Taoist Heisha's personal explanation, Fang Qingshan listened attentively despite the mysteriousness of the celestial five elements qi. Immersed in the Tao, Fang Qingshan instinctively began to transform the spiritual energy in his body according to the cultivation method of the celestial five elements qi. Time flew by, and a month had passed. Dang, dang, dang. On this day, while Fang Qingshan was still immersed in cultivation, he could not distinguish between the sun and the moon. In the corner of the secret chamber, an ancient bell suddenly rang. Fang Qingxue had placed this bell here, in case he was immersed in seclusion and the people outside needed to solve important matters and could not report to her. This bell was like the spring wind and rain, nourishing everything silently. Even if he was awakened at a critical moment of seclusion, there would not be a situation of qi deviation. Huff! Fang Qingshan let out a long sigh and slowly opened his eyes. A five-colored light flashed across them before disappearing. What's the matter? Who woke me up at this time? Could it be Big Sister? Although nothing went wrong in his cultivation, Fang Qingshan was a little displeased to be suddenly awakened while he was immersed in it. He stood up, opened the door of the secret chamber, and saw Fang Chong standing at the side. Beside her were his two maids, Fang Ling and Fang Qin, whom he had not seen for a long time. Young master, Fang Ling and Fang Qin cried tears of joy when they saw Fang Qingshan. They were Fang Qingshan's personal maids, but ever since they came to the emergent sect, they had been separated from Fang Qingshan. Now that they finally met, they were naturally excited. Good. Seeing Fang Ling and Fang Qin, Fang Qingshan's gloomy face could not help but break into a smile. After coming to this world, the people who were closest to him in the Fang clan and who had been with him the longest were probably these two handmaidens. After being apart for so long, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but miss them. But now that he had broken through the mystic realm and was promoted to a legacy disciple, he had his own territory. They didn't have to stay at Fang Qingshue's place anymore. Fang Chong was able to manage the entire direct inheritance peak for Fang Qingxue. Naturally, she wasn't a blind person. When she saw the displeasure on Fang Qingshan's face, she knew that she might have disturbed his cultivation, so she hurriedly explained. Reporting to young master, the Celestial Designer Institute has already built a true inheritance mountain for you. You will have to name it yourself, so we have no choice but to disturb your cultivation. All right. Fang Qingshan was just thinking that he already had a place to settle Fang Ling and Fang Qin. Now that he heard that his legacy peak had been built, Fang Qingshan couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. Seeing this, Fang Chong heaved a sigh of relief. Facing Fang Qingshan was too much pressure. Although she was managing the violet lightning peak for Fang Qingxue, there was still a difference between master and servant. In the beginning, when Fang Qingshan came to the violet lightning peak to go into seclusion, Fang Chong had already sensed it. However, at that time, she only thought that Fang Qingshan's cultivation had improved tremendously. She did not expect that the moment he entered, he would actually break through to the mystic realm and become the Fang clan's second mystic realm expert, just like the eldest Mississippi. If the Fang clan knew about this, the first elder and second elder would probably be overjoyed. Since it's been repaired, let's go. Right now, Fang Qingshan was a little anxious to know what his mountain peak looked like. All right, you know the exact location, right? I know. When the people from the Celestial Designer Institute informed me, they already told me the exact location. Fang Chong nodded. All right, you lead the way. Let's go. Fong Qingshan waved his hand, and a five-colored peacock suddenly appeared in front of the four. This was not a real peacock, but an illusion created by Fong Qingshan's magic power. He was imitating the purple lightning snakes that Fong Qingxue had summoned with the power of lightning. And Fong Qingshan had just successfully cultivated the five elements true qi. So the first animal he thought of was this five-colored peacock. Fong Qingshan waved his hand, and Fong Ling, Fong Qin, and Fong Chong involuntarily landed on the peacock. The three of them had not cultivated to the mystic realm, so naturally they had not experienced the feeling of flying. At first, they were a little nervous, but now they were excited. With Fong Chong leading the way, a clear cry rang out, and a five-colored light flashed past. A five-colored peacock tore through the air. After flying for a few hundred miles and passing through numerous mountain peaks, they could see a tall mountain rising from the ground from afar. Its aura was like a sword, and there was a huge palace built on top of the mountain peak that was not inferior to the Violet Lightning Palace. Along the mountain path, there were pavilions and terraces everywhere. There was a building every 5 steps and a pavilion every 10 steps. The corridors were winding and the eaves were high. Good. Seeing this, Fong Qingshan could not help but nod in satisfaction. Child, this is where we will live from now on. Compared to Fong Qingshan's calmness, Fong Qin and Fong Ling were a little more excited. They looked here and there and felt that everything was so unreal. That's right. This will be our home from now on. Fong Qingshan smiled. Perhaps it was his. Along the way, the more Fong Qingshan looked at it, the more satisfied he was. Child, what do you name this mountain? Fong Chong asked. Let's call it Heavens. Fong Qingshan had already thought about it and said directly. Fong Qingxue had the inextinguishable lightning, so she named it Violet Lightning. Fong Han had the picture of the serpent in the Yellow River, and he had the ambition to build reincarnation. Adding on the bet with Hua Tiandu, he named it Reincarnation. Fong Qingxue's most important thing was the All-Heavens chessboard, so he named it Heavens. Heavens! Fong Chong and the other 2 girls thought about it carefully, and the name was deeply engraved in their hearts. Oh, right. Is Big Sister back yet? Fong Qingshan asked. Child, Miss Fong has been allowed to enter the small celestial realm to cultivate, Fong Chong replied. Oh, it seems that Big Sister will break through to the celestial being realm soon. Fong Qingshan smiled. Right now, he and the Fong clan were bound together for good or ill. The higher Fong Qingshue's cultivation base was, the better it would be for him. Disregarding everything else, if the Fong clan's luck increased, the amount of luck he would receive would naturally increase as well. Oh, there's one more thing that I need you to do. Fong Qingshan said. Child, please tell me. Fong Chong said. As you can see, the All-Heavens Peak has just been established, and it needs someone to take care of it. However, I'm in a hurry to cultivate in seclusion, so I'll leave it to you, Fong Qingshan said. Chapter 122. Don't worry, young master. I'll ask the people from the Violet Lightning Peak to come over and send a message back to the Fong clan. I'll leave the All-Heavens Peak to the Fong clan, Fong Chong said calmly. Ling Qin, learn from Fong Chong. I'll leave the All-Heavens Peak to you too. Fong Qingshan nodded and said to Fong Ling and Fong Qin. Yes, don't worry, young master. A hint of joy flashed across their eyes as they replied in unison. All right, you can leave now. I'm going to continue my closed-door cultivation. When they arrived at the palace at the top of the mountain, Fong Qingshan waved his hand and engraved the words carefree on the plaque. He then waved at the 3 of them. Young master. However, Fong Chong did not leave immediately. Instead, she hesitated, as if she had something to say, but was unsure if she should say it. If you have something to say, just say it, Fong Qingshan said. Yes. Fong Chong let out a sigh of relief. Young master, do you still remember Fong Han? Fong Han? Isn't he the one that young master thought highly of? The one who fed the horses of the second young miss? Fong Ling said. but I heard that he was given the identity of an outer disciple by the first young miss, right? Hearing Fong Chong mention Fong Han and her behavior, Fong Qingshan immediately understood that the bet between Fong Han and Hua Tiandu had taken place. Yes, recently. Fong Chong recounted the recent events in full detail. Fong Ling and Fong Qin widened their eyes. They did not expect Fong Han to be so bold. Fong Qingshan was not surprised. However, he did not expect that Fong Han would still go against Hua Tiandu in this life, even without the gourd of 7 evils. As expected of an old enemy, the situation was unchangeable. Humph! What a domineering Hua Tiandu. As expected of the number 1 core disciple. Fong Qingshan snorted coldly. No matter what, Fong Han is still a member of the Fong clan. How could he humiliate him like this? How preposterous! In front of Fong Chong and the other 2, Fong Qingshan's face darkened as he laughed coldly. Not to mention the fact that Hua Tiandu, the number 1 true disciple, was targeting Fong Han, an inner sect disciple. Furthermore, Fong Han was a member of the Fong clan, and he had high hopes for him. If Hua Tiandu didn't do anything, it would be embarrassing. Where is he now? Fong Qingshan asked. He should have returned to the inner sect, Fong Chong replied. If that's the case, I'll leave this matter to you. Fong Qingshan nodded and said, Go and summon Fong Han. Yes. Fong Chong answered, turned around, and left. After leaving Fong Ling and Fong Qin to familiarize themselves with the surroundings, Fong Qingshan turned around and entered the secret chamber of the Carefree Hall. This time, he did not go into seclusion because he had to wait for Fong Han's arrival. Thus, Fong Qingshan took out the 5-cloud peach flower miasma and continued to practice. If this treasure was successfully refined, it would at least be a peerless treasure weapon. Once it reached the great accomplishment level, it could even be a middle or upper Dao weapon, let alone a lower Dao weapon. Moreover, Fong Qingshan was currently lacking a Dharma treasure for transportation and defense, so he attached great importance to the 5-cloud peach flower miasma. Fong Han did not keep Fong Qingshan waiting for long. He soon followed Fong Chong to the Carefree Hall. Fong Han, a scholar who has been away for 3 days, must be looked at differently. I didn't expect that when I saw you again, you would be fighting against Hua Tiandu. Looking at Fong Han's gloomy face, which was filled with determination, Fong Qingshan could not help but laugh. Third young master, I didn't want to fight against Hua Tiandu. Unfortunately, things don't go as I wish. People don't cause trouble, but when there's trouble, you have to find the person who caused it. Fong Han smiled bitterly, but he did not regret it at all. Fong Qingshan nodded. I didn't call you here to blame you, but to affirm you. You're a member of the Fong family. As long as you don't have any problems, no one can do anything to you. Hua Tiandu bullied you because of his cultivation. Sister, and I will settle the score with him sooner or later. Fong Qingshan sneered. Others don't think you can win the 10-year agreement, but I'm sure you'll have the last laugh. Fong Qingshan said resolutely. Oh, why do you say that? Fong Han's eyes lit up. To be honest, Fong Han had no other choice but to make this agreement. Otherwise, he would be killed by Hua Tiandu in less than 10 years. Even Fong Han himself was not sure that he could win, let alone others. He did not expect that Fong Qingshan would be so sure that he could win. Because you're Fong Qingshan, you're a member of the Fong family. You have my support, Fong Qingshan and Fong Qingxue. Fong Qingshan said loudly. What advantage does Hua Tiandu have over you? Fong Qingshan did not wait for Fong Han's answer. He continued, It's just that he has cultivated for a longer period of time and obtained the legacy of Venerable Panwu, Celestial. The Yellow Springs painting you obtained is no less than Venerable Panwu, Celestial's legacy. So, in the end, he only cultivated for a few more years. If Fong Qingxue had said that she had obtained the Yellow Springs painting, Fong Han might have thought about how to escape. As for Fong Qingshan, Fong Han did not care. In his mind, there were few things that Fong Qingshan did not know. After listening to Fong Qingshan's words, Fong Han's confidence soared. Yes, he had the Yellow Springs painting. Compared to Hua Tiandu, the only thing he lacked was time. Thank you for your advice, third young master. Fang Han bowed sincerely. Fang Qingshan accepted the bow without dodging, then said, "Today, I called you here, firstly to affirm your actions, secondly to encourage you, and thirdly to naturally support you." After a pause, Fang Qingshan continued, "Now, whether it's me or Big Sister, we can't afford to offend Hua Tiandu. So, if we want to seek justice for you, I'm afraid it won't be possible in a short period of time. Even if we can't get justice for you, we can still support you." At this point, Fang Qingshan took out a jade bottle from his pocket and opened it. Instantly, a wave of pure yang energy filled the entire hall. What a rich pure yang aura. "Fang Han, you must get it." Yin, who was hiding in Fang Han's body, could not sit still. The Yellow Springs painting was not at its peak. He also needed time to recover. However, if he had pure yang treasures, such as the heavenly rooster yang rope, the 9-palace golden pagoda, or the pure yang golden pill, he could shorten the time. This is a pure yang golden pill. Taking one can increase one's cultivation by 100 years. Fang Qingshan flicked his finger, and a golden pill fell into Fang Han's hand. "Thank you, third young master." Fang Han thanked him sincerely again. He did not expect that Fang Qingshan was not just talking about it. He actually took out a treasure like the pure yang golden pill. This one pellet was probably not even worth the value of a peerless treasure weapon. "All right, you're also a member of the Fang family." Fang Qingshan waved his hand and said calmly, "Practice hard. Work hard on your cultivation. Life is full of ups and downs. Don't bully the young for being poor." Chapter 123. Auspicious Light, Crane Sword Light. All Sky Peak, Carefree Hall, Secret Chamber. In the huge secret chamber, green smoke curled up in spirals, dense and illusory. In the middle of the room was a 3-legged cauldron with colorful clouds floating in it. Behind the cauldron, on a cushion, sat a man in his 20s. His eyebrows were like distant mountains, and his eyes were like stars. It was Fang Qingshan. Above his head was a colorful cloud. It was the peach blossom miasma. Fang Qingshan gave the precious pure yang golden pill to Fang Han. First of all, Fang Han was the first person he thought highly of. If he didn't do anything after being bullied, he would lose the trust of others. Secondly, although the pure yang golden pill was precious, it was not the only one. There were many of them. Although it would be difficult for Fang Qingshan to get more, it was not impossible. Moreover, he still had the pure yang immortal and the alchemy scripture of Tai Ching heaven. Even if he lost it in the future, he could make it himself as long as his alchemy skills improved. In addition, Fang Han was a member of the Fang family and had a close relationship with him. If Fang Han became stronger, his cultivation would improve and his providence would increase. Fang Han could also get a share. Since that was the case, why shouldn't he do it? After sending Fang Han away, Fang Qingshan took out a pure yang golden pill and asked Fang Ling to give it to his second sister, Fang Qingwei. Compared to Fang Qingxue and Fang Han, Fang Qingwei's presence was too low. In terms of aptitude and opportunities, she was not as good as the two of them. But who asked this body of his to be indebted to her in the past? Therefore, Fang Qingshan didn't mind helping her. After everything was done, Fang Qingshan told Fang Ling and Fang Qingwei not to disturb him unless there was something important. Then, he went into the secret chamber to refine his magic treasure, the peach blossom miasma. It could attack, defend, and assist. It was an all-around magic treasure. Although its attack might not be comparable to a killing treasure, its defense might not be comparable to a defensive treasure, and its auxiliary function might not be comparable to a specialized auxiliary treasure. But its comprehensive ability was the strongest, and its ability to adapt to the situation was the strongest. Moreover, it was only inferior to a top-notch treasure. At this moment, Fang Qingshan was sitting cross-legged on a cattail hassock. His hands were moving rapidly as he performed one magic seal after another. At the same time, streams of 5-cloud peach flower miasma continuously shot out of the cauldron, pouring into the 5-cloud peach flower miasma above. At the same time, the 5-colored brilliance shone. When it gathered, it formed clouds. When it dispersed, it formed smoke. It was like a cauldron, a tower, a bell, a knife, a sword, a whip, and so on. Dense and fine ancient talisman markings were all the size of a fist, deep and ancient, and they intertwined with each other like a spider web that connected the peach blossom miasma together. Even though it was condensed and dispersed without form, it was still a whole, and even if a lotus root was broken, it would still be connected. Time was too short, and the gaps between one's fingers were too wide. Inadvertently, time passed quietly. Feng Qingshan was so immersed in refining artifacts that he lost track of time. The 5-cloud peach blossom miasma in the cauldron in front of him was decreasing day by day, and the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma above his head was growing more resplendent with each passing day. Peak spirit weapons, low-grade treasure weapons, mid-grade treasured weapons, high-grade treasured weapons, peerless-grade treasure weapons. Buzz. At a certain moment, the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma in the cauldron in front of him was gone. The 5-cloud peach blossom miasma above his head trembled, and Feng Qingshan woke up from his immersion. It's still a little lacking. Feng Qingshan stretched out his hand to catch the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma that fell from above his head, and he could not help but sigh. Although the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma was second to none among the peerless treasures, Feng Qingshan still felt that it was a fly in the ointment, and it did not advance to a Dao artifact. The reason for this was that the materials were gone. In the beginning, the reason why the red-haired old ancestor could refine various treasures that did not belong to the disciples of the Amaze sect was because the dragon elephant had been subdued and he had swept away the miasma that had accumulated in the rotten peach mountain for thousands of years. Not only was Feng Qingshan's cultivation not as good as his, but the miasma that he collected was also not 1/10 or 2/10 of the original. However, in general, Feng Qingshan was very satisfied to be able to obtain a peerless treasures. One had to know that according to the refining method of the immortal world, one could only refine a peerless treasures after reaching the 7th level of the supernatural power, and it would take a lot of time and energy. With this treasure in hand, as long as I don't encounter the 5 true disciples, there should be no problem in protecting myself. Feng Qingshan shook his hand, and the 5-cloud peach blossom miasma turned into a feather coat, which he wore on his body. Next, I have to consider the matter of cultivating supernatural power. To cultivate supernatural power, Feng Qingshan now had 3 choices. The Great Freedom Dark Gold Sword Qi of the Emergent Sect, the 5 Elements Supernatural Power on the Heisha Wondrous Book, the Unorthodox Supernatural Power, and the Sword Skill of the Chun Yang Immortal. However, whether it was the Great Freedom Dark Gold Sword Qi or the 5 Elements Supernatural Power on the Heisha Wondrous Book, if he cultivated step by step, it would be too slow, and Feng Qingshan could not choose it. The way to speed up the cultivation was very simple, and that was to find the 5 elements of natural treasures to assist, and naturally, he would progress at a tremendous pace. Moreover, refining these natural treasures would not only speed up one's cultivation, but it would also allow one's divine abilities to become more complex and more profound. As for the unorthodox supernatural power, Feng Qingshan had the 5 elements supernatural power on the Heisha Wondrous Book. Why would he still cultivate these unorthodox supernatural power? It was undeniable that the unorthodox supernatural power was not without its merits, and sometimes it had the effect of winning by surprise, but it was very easy to be restrained, and once restrained, it would be a crushing defeat. During the God Conferment battle, the disciples of the Jie school were very awe-inspiring at the beginning, but once restrained, they threw away their helmets and armor and died. Therefore, the unorthodox supernatural power was first ruled out by Feng Qingshan. The only thing left was the sword skill of the Chun Yang Immortal. Originally, Feng Qingshan did not plan on cultivating it immediately. This was because even if he succeeded in cultivating it, without a good sword to match it, its power would be greatly reduced. Furthermore, the pure yang flying sword was too eye-catching, so the sword art was somewhat inappropriate. But now that he had the five-cloud peach blossom miasma, there was no need to worry about this problem. The power of the five-cloud peach blossom miasma was much stronger than the heavenly rooster yang rope and a 9-palace golden pagoda. The problem that he could not solve must be very serious, and at this time, it was about time to use the Chun Yang flying sword. But if he used the flying sword instinctively like the last time when he attacked the demon god's clone, the effect would be greatly reduced. At that time, if Fang Qingshan cultivated the Sky Escape and the Chun Yang sword skill, he would not need Fang Qingshue's help at all and could easily capture him with one sword strike. Okay, next I will cultivate the Sky Escape and the Chun Yang sword skill, and then come out of seclusion to look for the 5 elements of natural treasures, in preparation for cultivating the Great Freedom Dark Gold Sword Qi, the 5 elements supernatural power on the Heisha Wondrous Book, and Fang Han's Great 5 Elements technique. With a decision in mind, Fang Qingshan immediately took out the Sky Escape and Chun Yang sword skills, and with a thought, he projected his spirit onto the inheritance item that was neither gold nor copper, neither gauze nor jade. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.